Blynd Submyshynz, where DIY bands submit songs for us to listen and react to blind. Every week, we'll bring a guest from the underground music, arts, or entertainment scene to help you sort through mountains of new music. We go in blind so you don't have to. Blynd Submyshynz.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to another episode of
the slowest episode
Wait. Remember, we're doing this different now.
Oh, hey, Jeff Wilson here.
And J.D. Norton. And welcome to another episode of Blynd Submyshynz. Shaka Khan. Did you just say Shaka Khan?
I did. Shaka Khan, let me rock it, Shaka Khan. Let me rock it, it's all I want to do, Shaka. Oh, come on, I'm a child.
Guess who our guest is today? Woo!
Shaka Khan, Ric Flair?
Ric Flair, baby! No, that would be amazing, though. I wonder if you can get Ric Flair on.
Welcome to the Ric Flairiest episode of... No, I think he is on Cameo.
I bet a lot of wrestlers are on Cameo.
Look, people, we've spent a few hours exploring Cameo. Yes. and
just wait,
thinking about things that have happened in the first 27 episodes of this show, and
we need to dump some more of our money into this show. We have no sponsors or anything. Let's spend some more,
but not very much money. In fact, the whole fun of it is how little money you have to spend in order to have some. If you don't know what Cameo is, just go look it up. And,
yes,
it's absolutely fabulous.
Oh yes.
All right. It feels like it's been a while since we recorded one of these, but it's only been a week. No, it was just a week ago.
Was it really only a week ago?
And a day.
Week and a day.
Just a bit over a week.
With good old Max.
Wow, with Mr. Malma.
Yeah, that was good.
Where is our guest? Why do I not see him in the waiting room?
He should be there. It shows him as a participant.
Oh, I know.
Oh, it's because you have the chat open.
Why do I have the chat open? I'm so dumb. God, Jeff, what's wrong with you?
One day Jeff's going to figure out how to use Zoom.
I gotta show the participants window again. And,
there we go.
Oh my God,
participants.
Good Lord.
There.
All
okay.
right. So
Jeff, who do we have on today?
Oh, on today is
boy,
a humdinger.
This is a humdinger.
A wing zinger.
Yes.
Chris Johnson, who is, oh my God, let's count his jobs. So he's the main man behind a band I love called Summoner.
Yes.
He plays bass in a little band that was nominated for a Grammy called Deafheaven.
Is this our first Grammy nominated
I think it's
guest?
our first Grammy nominated guest.
Holy shit.
He plays bass in a Boston supergroup called Doomriders.
Yes, who I didn't even realize he played in Doomriders until today.
He's a wicked audio engineer, producing records for all kinds of people, including I think both Worshipper tracks for the Thin Lizzy tribute and the Deep Purple tribute. He also engineered those Day of Doom live records, the Elephant Tree record that we showed off, and his own band, Summoner. And he's a touring engineer, so he does live sound for lots of bands. So most of all, what you need to know about Chris is he is the one person probably most gravely injured by the pandemic in terms of
seriously
possibility of doing work,
seriously,
which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Let's just go ahead and admit him.
Let's do it.
Let's admit Chris, and then we will talk about everything. Hey, how's it going?
All right, here we are.
Yes,
we have sound. There's no 3-second delay. It's not
gonna
drive you. It's not gonna drive you insane. Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing very well.
We're good. JD texted me, and I was like. I was a half hour off, and when I thought we were starting,
I'm like, we're supposed to start recording in 20 minutes.
Aren't you set up yet?
Sorry about that. I also kept pushing it back, but hey, here we are.
No, it's all good.
No, we're here. That's all that matters.
All so, are you in the studio or is this your house?
Yes.
Yes is the answer to both.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I have like a small mix room. Small is the key word, but yeah, I have a studio in my basement, so it's pretty much where
nice.
like I mix everything, and like if I'm recording like vocals or something for my band, I usually just do it here. There was a point in time where I try to squeeze a band in here. You can like technically record drums and stuff, but it's like, let's just go to a studio and do that, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely pretty spoiled. And then with like, you know, COVID and everything, I've just like set up my little drum kit in one corner. I got like the vocal booth, the amps, and then all my mix stuff. So it's like, if I was a more prolific songwriter, I would have like a crazy catalog, but you know,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of those bands who have somehow managed to like record 50 records and put out, you know, all kinds of stuff. I haven't been able to pull that off yet. So
Yeah. It's funny, like early on, and actually even like right before everything, like the shit hit the fan, I was kind of like putting these little like solo songs together, or whatever, with like GarageBand and shit, which is funny because I have Pro Tools, but there's something fun about just doing the GarageBand thing and being like, I'm gonna work with this kind of like toy to make some songs. And then it was like kind of getting a couple more together, and then all of a sudden, oh, we're off the road, and it's like, oh man, this is cool. Maybe I'll keep doing these songs. And I did like 2 more, and now it's been like a year. So
yeah. So are you? I mean, speaking of on the road, are you ever not on the road in regular times? I mean, 3 bands and an engineer. Like, are you ever not traveling?
not really. I mean, now there's it's worked out where at least like when I joined Deafheaven, it was like we've played a shitload of shows, but it was slightly after the initial grinding, doing like 200 shows a year kind of thing.
Yeah, gotcha.
You joined at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. I really did. I was like, great, okay, everything's slowing down a little bit. But no, it's probably like, I mean, I would say probably like 6 months out of the year for sure, between touring, doing sound, which I don't do all that often anymore. But you know, when the you know, if it's a cool, like Converge says, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, absolutely, yeah. And they also speaking of slowing down, those guys have it figured out. They just don't go out for more than 2 weeks, which is awesome. It's like great. They've just kind of figured it out where, you know, you do like an East Coast or a West Coast or a short Europe thing, but it's always like
a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's smart.
Then I feel lucky to have caught you engineering multiple shows in Boston and beyond. I think I've seen you run an Elder show at once.
Yeah, right.
I think I've seen you run 2 shows at once for whatever reason. I happen to be in Boston for work.
I was gonna say, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, man, and unfortunately, RIP once they didn't make it, man.
I know, that's
really sucked. I'm smiling when I'm saying that. That's not the correct response. It's fucking crazy, man. They were like one of they were like the only like sort of DIY-ish club of a decent size that had a great vibe and was booking awesome bands. It was like, as soon as they said like, oh, we're like, you know, we're closing down, it was like, okay,
it's such a unique spot too. I mean, the first time I went in there, I was like, am I in like a VA hall or something? This doesn't
absolutely, dude. It's like I mean, there's like drop tile ceilings, there's like mirrors and stuff around, there's like an actual dance floor, like it was a function hall or something like that. It was like, but then there's like cool bar upstairs, and the what I thought was kind of cool, which doesn't always isn't the best thing for the band playing downstairs, but if you want to take a break from the show, you can go to the bar upstairs, and it's like it's all windows, so you can still kind of hear and see the show,
kind of lean out
and have a conversation, and like sort of, you know, it sucks because you probably should just put all the crowd downstairs, but you know,
every show I've been to there was packed, so you could get away with sneaking out to the upstairs. And
I mean, right. It's not like
too bad about it.
Exactly. But yeah, that sucked, man. And I mean, they're doing virtual stuff, so like the sort of the group of people that was running it and kind of keeping it going is doing something, but like, yeah, the actual location, I think that's
I'm curious. I mean, a lot of venues had to be abandoned because people just have to figure out another way for now. But it's not like, I mean, I know Boston's in a similar situation to the Bay Area where, and even the outskirts, where shit's just getting bought up and turned into condos. But if the building's still there in 6 months and shows are back, hopefully,
that's kind of the thought. Because I mean, realistically, like a lot of these spaces, like you would have, I don't even know what you would do with that. Like the real estate is cool, but you would have to completely renovate it to do whatever you wanted to do. And like, hopefully, like you're saying, if you know, we can hang on for another few months or something and nothing does go in there, like a lot of these venues, I'd like to think they might be able to just kind of like pick up where they left off somehow, you know. And
for
that's
sure.
a tall order, obviously, but yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of Boston musicians in my feeds. And so I feel like pretty up to date
on what's going on in Boston.
Yeah.
On Venue Watch Boston. Any news on the Middle East? That's the one that keeps coming up.
Yeah. And the Middle East was an interesting situation too. It was like, the owners were doing some sketchy stuff. So then it was like, let's boycott this place. But then it was like, okay, but like our friend's band is playing there. Or like touring bands are still playing there. It was kind of like, I don't know how to. What is the most ethical thing to do here? Support your friends.
Situations here, don't we?
Yeah, we have a few of those in the Bay Area.
Interesting. Yeah, you make the most of it, right? I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, Middle East was in a tough spot too because it was one of those like, it was gonna get knocked down for condos, and then people saved it, and then like 2 years later it was back on the chopping block, and then it was so it's been like this back and forth kind of thing. And I guess that's
it's prime real estate in Cambridge. It's like right on the main drag in Cambridge.
Yeah, it really is. And now like right across the street is like a 6-story like proper nice glass condo situation, so you can kind of see the writing on the wall. But
where it's going. Yeah, I feel like anytime I'm in Boston, that part of life feels very familiar from being in the Bay. Well, not the bad part, the gentrification and the condoization of every square inch, pushing out interesting independently owned anything, because it's just such an expensive city that it's hard for an individual to start a business.
Yeah.
And if you own property at some point, it's just like, all right, if you're going to throw that much money at me, I guess I'd be stupid not to take it. Especially like a place that's been around for, a couple decades or something like that, you got to figure at a certain point, even if their heart was in the right spot to begin with, it's kind of like, you know what? I don't know. I'll take those millions of dollars and go do something else and kind of say, sorry, art community, like you'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is awful, but it's weird. It's tough. I have to imagine hopefully there will be some sort of like adjustment period with like all these like tech companies not really needing to have physical offices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have to imagine there's some sort of trickle down from that where like it doesn't make sense. But I mean, a lot of it is, I say like I know a fair amount of it is sort of like foreign investment thing where you sort of just park some money
and
in the building. So they don't care if it's empty or full or, what's going on. But I don't know.
Yeah. That happens a lot.
Well, I read San Francisco has some ungodly 2 million square feet of vacant office space. Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Essentially every tech company has just abandoned San Francisco.
Interesting.
I'm sure a lot of the residents are happy about it.
Yeah.
A lot of the businesses are not happy about it.
Right.
That's our lunch crowd. That's our after dinner or after work crowd.
Right. That whole like economy that's based around all those people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting.
That's
I have our Dan Tracy, the Deafheaven's drummer, lives in. He's the only one that still lives in San Francisco.
Is he still here?
He's still here.
Okay.
There. He lived. I wish I knew where he moved to, but he's really happy with the move. But they lived on 6th Street for like a long time, and it was just one of those like, you go right out the door and you're like, oh, this is a shithole, and then you get around the corner and you're like, this is great, and like kind of rent control, sort of locked in a nice spot. But because like a bunch of people left, they were able to kind of get a little upgrade,
Yeah,
but
I mean, there really has been a serious exodus from San Francisco. It's pretty insane. I mean, we've been calling for it for a long time. Just because it's like not livable for a diverse group of people. All the artists fled San Francisco. Artists are fleeing Oakland now. I mean, that was originally like, all right, then we'll go live in Oakland, and now it's like, all right, we'll go live in Portland.
I was going to say, is it Portland? Yeah, or Austin?
Yep.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Everybody's leaving, but yeah. Yeah, that's funny. He's 6th Street. You said that, and I just had flashbacks because 6th Street is like the worst. Like 6th Street, south of Market. Oh.
South of Market.
It's like needles everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like all the wrappers from the heroin that people just throw them on the ground.
It's
You're
crazy.
Just like, ah!
Yeah. South of Market. I was trying to remember what the neighborhood was called exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Tenderloin, right?
Tenderloin is north of Market actually, but south of Market is
south of the Tenderloin.
But it's south of the Tenderloin. Yeah. It's bad. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Well, it's funny because talking about Boston, I think the more we had Santos on Gloom and Gloom, 2 episodes ago, and just kind of talking about that Boston scene. I mean, and how many bands there are that all share members. It feels like there's 10 musicians in Boston.
It's crazy.
All in 20 bands.
And Nate Newton is in most of them, I think is what happened. It's crazy, man. It's weird, and it's kind of always been that way. I think. I mean, I'm a couple years younger than those guys, but like so kind of like seeing it when I was younger growing up. And then as you kind of come up in that scene a little bit, you're like, dude, there's literally like 18 people in all of these bands. It's crazy, Yeah,
exactly.
Or there's there's like rings of a tree, and there's like a Venn diagram, I think is the right thing. And that middle chunk is huge, and then there's like a couple people on the outside. But
and I feel like, and you're in one of those Doomriders.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, Doomriders is one of those bands that kind of has all of these guys from these other bands that have all...
exactly. Yep. So
and there's a few trees, like one that just put out a new album last year that I love is Kind. Were you involved in that record?
I was not. Those are good friends of mine. I was. I gave them some high fives, probably.
High fives.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds great. Actually my friend Alec Rodriguez, who's another great engineer, that's the thing too, is like there's so many awesome engineers in this city. It's like pretty competitive for that, or like everyone just kind of has their friend or their guy that they go with. And again, there's like not a million bands around, but it's funny. But yeah, they did that at this place Mad Oak, which is an awesome studio in Allston.
Mad Oak, isn't that's the God, the band. What's the name of the band?
I don't know.
So
it's the guys from they're like Clutch. Sasquatch.
Exactly.
Mad Oak is one of the guys from Sasquatch.
Exactly, and that's Craig, and he's in Kind.
He's in Kind.
He's in Kind. Exactly.
Yeah,
Craig.
Craig. We hung out with Craig at Psycho.
Did we?
Craig Riggs. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because Mad Oak is like his umbrella brand for all kinds of stuff. That's how I think they put the records out on a Mad Oak label. He's got like a he's another guy who finds his way into my feed constantly. So I got all this Mad Oak shit floating through my head. Coffee, I think he makes coffee.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Got Mad Oak coffee roaster. Yeah, it's funny. Craig's he's just one of those guys. He's always kind of got something going on, which is cool. And then he's had that. So the studio's at their second location now, but it's been open for at least 20 years or something like that. And he's kind of like not a gear hoarder, but you know what I mean? So like the amp collection is sick, like the mic collection is sick. It's just got a good vibe in there. And but anyways, that's where they did that. Yeah.
I was curious. I can't think of any kind of like legendary studios in Boston. Are there? Like, what are the spots? I
would say essentially there are or were, and now are in some other form, basically 2. And you had Fort Apache in the 90s, which did like everything, like the Lemonheads and Throwing Muses and like
oh my god,
and like there's like this chunk because it was Paul Coldery was over there and I'm trying to remember, like, because there's this like crossover. There's like this chunk of time in the 90s where it's like every like alternative band that was coming out of Boston, which big or small or was pretty much going to Fort Apache, and they were doing like everything. And then you had Q Division on the other side of town, which is where like they did a Pixies record there. They did Stacy's Mom, that song for some fucking randomly was done over there. That's funny. A terrible, like, here's 2 things. Which Converge record? I think Jane Doe was done there. Actually, there's a really funny story about that because they went into Studio A, which has this cool vintage Neve console and like all this nice shit. and they got bumped to Studio B because James Taylor was going into Studio A, and they were kind of like, "Hey, you guys get it, right?" You know, and they were sort of like, "All right, I guess
James
Taylor." Studio. Yeah. Studio B also pretty killer, but yeah, it's just kind of funny. You're like,
but
all
when
right,
if you're a dork and you're staring at that console and thinking like, "Oh man, this is so exciting,"
can't wait.
They're like, over here.
Yeah.
Sorry, you don't get this
It's
one.
a pretty nice console. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah. But and I wish I had more of like a laundry list of stuff that's been recorded in those places, because Q Division's been open since 1985 or 6 or something, but they're in their 3rd location, and they're now actually moving to a 4th location. So it's much to what we were saying a minute ago. It's you get pushed a little further out of the city, and shit gets more expensive. Your spot gets a little smaller and stuff like that. But
I can say the console that's at Sharkbite, which is where we recorded our last record, is an old Triton.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Trident.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I always fuck that up. And it's
King
it's
Triton
like,
uses a trident.
Yes.
the lore of the console is that it's the console that mixed the wall, and that
sick, cool.
that Rumors was tracked on, I believe. I mean, it has this like legendary history, and now
that actually sounds familiar now. I didn't realize it was at that studio, but I knew somewhere floating around town was that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's legendary.
And for like 15 years, that was Billy Anderson's home studio.
Oh, okay.
That was the primary place he tracked everything for a good chunk. You know, if you look at his discography from like 1995 to probably 2010 or so.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
Maybe not that long, but for a good chunk of time. He recorded there, and he maintained it. And then he left. He moved up to Portland, like everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But he still comes down and records there. And when he recorded us there, he's like, "Oh man, I can tell that that someone hasn't been maintaining the console,
dude."
Because when he's living there, he's maintaining it himself.
Sure.
It's like dust in the faders, and he's having to whack stuff.
It's funny that you say that too, because that story that I just told about Converge getting bumped to Studio B, the console is a Trident ADB that's in there. And I have a bunch of experience on that thing, and it was one of those like haunted patch bays where all of a sudden your fucking snare, you're like, hang on, you gotta like stop it. And this was like they did maintain it, I swear, but like it's like, I mean, if you're somebody like Billy who's just like hanging out there doing it because you want to do it and you need to do it and you've got the time, and just keep combing through it. But yeah, it's funny, those things start to, I mean, I guess it's like anything. It's like your car, when you start getting towards 200,000 miles, it's like, well, this is going to go, that's going to go, and that's going to go. And you can kind of do it and replace it if you want to, otherwise it's, but
and people,
it's interesting though. It's cool.
Who came up recording in the digital age, like can't imagine there's a bunch of physical components that you have to brush dust off of, or replace a capacitor, whatever, do whatever in order to keep them running. It's just like, you just have a computer and you just plug into it, right? You just plug into it, and then you're good. As long
you
as
don't actually have to twist any.
It's all software problems.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, not having faders alone is like, okay, well, we've just removed, like you're talking about dust getting in there and shit, and things cut out like that. I would be remiss, by the way, if I didn't mention what I would consider, and I'm probably biased because I work there, but the 3rd legendary Boston studio is a place called New Alliance, and they're also on their 3rd location now. But they did like oh shit, what the hell's his name? They did a bunch of Cave-In records there. Dear God, I'm blanking on.
It'll come to you.
This is why I need exactly. In 20 minutes, I'm gonna be like, oh, what an idiot.
Oh, that's what the show is all about.
Yeah.
The show is Jeff and
usually
JD struggle to remember.
Yeah, that's how it goes. But yeah, we don't have a console anymore. They sold it when we moved it to Europe. That's what made me think of it. Now it's just like a bunch of nice outboard stuff, but it's like it's weird because it's a tape machine and stuff, but without the image of the console. Weird. It's a different vibe,
Totally. That's a mixing studio. That's not a for tracking. You gotta have a console.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I need to grab EQ and move knobs around and stuff. But
yeah, exactly.
Before Andrew Snyder.
Andrew Snyder. That's the guy from Sasquatch.
No. That's the guy who recorded the records at
Yeah.
New Alliance.
Oh, gotcha.
A bunch of cave-in stuff. The first like Red Chord album. I don't know, a bunch of shit. All this like metal stuff that was kind of slightly before God City. Schneider was doing all the stuff in town.
Gotcha.
So his track list is crazy. But yeah, he's in New York now. But anyways, Andrew Schneider, good dude.
There you go. Yeah, and I see you spend some time at God City too.
When it's available. Yeah.
Available.
So I lucked out because Kurt doesn't really let a lot of like outside guys work there, but he was sort of like, you know what? Yeah, sure. When I'm on tour, so when Converge was away and the place was open, I got to use it. Problem with that is a lot of times I'm out with Converge, and then I would kind of be home and be like, hey man, do you think I could maybe book some time in there this week? And every now and again it's a yes, but for the most part it's kind of like, you know, it's his studio. He doesn't want to work around somebody else's schedule kind of thing. But yeah, I was there in September for a couple of days. My band Summoner did a song I need to finish doing vocals on, but
get to work.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's like 6 months later.
Oh no, I mean we've talked about this already. It took us a year to figure out how to record one Deep Purple song.
Right? Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it for sure.
Yeah.
So what got you like? You were born and raised in Boston or around in the Boston area?
In the area, yeah, probably like an hour south of 45 minutes south of the city, something like that. In the woods, you know.
In the woods.
Very much not in the city, yeah.
Yeah, if you've never been to Massachusetts before, it's a really interesting place because there's this like massive concentration of people in Boston, then along the coast. And then there's like, if you put a dot at Boston, there's a highway that's like kind of one ring out, and then there's another one that's like kind of two rings out. And anywhere between those two highways is just forest. There's nothing
exactly.
but nothing but trees. Every once in a while, you'd be like, I think there's a town over there, but you see some lights through the trees. But I spent a lot of time out off of 495 at a Holiday Inn, Boxborough Woods.
Ooh, wow,
Boxborough. Nice. Wow, there you go. So then those are the woods we're talking about. Yeah,
those are the woods.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because like in Somerville, which is basically Greater Boston, it's got one of the highest population densities in the country, which seems weird to me because Boston's such a small city, but it's all these triple decker houses and they're all on top of each other and blah blah blah. And then as soon as you get out of the city a little bit, it's like, okay, this is a different vibe out here. Like you see horses and shit. Like okay,
So what got you into music?
Like,
what were your early influences?
So I have kind of a funny introduction to it all, which is basically I fell in love with like Rancid was like my absolute favorite band, so I've always felt drawn to the Bay Area.
There you go.
Half of their catalog is about like SF and Oakland, whatever. But yeah, so I mean I got into it from punk, and then honestly my first band was a ska band, horn section and everything.
Oh come on, let's talk about it.
And all I will say is as a bass player, boy, you got a lot of room to stretch out, and like when you're like 16 years old drinking Mountain Dew, running around going do, it's a lot of fun. But yeah.
No, I mean so I spent a year in school and living in LA, and we're talking 1992, like peak like ska punk, LA
peak ska.
The last night before I moved back home, we just had a jam party, and my friend Evan's like, oh yeah, let me call my friend Gwen and Tony and see if they want to come over, and like pretty soon all of No Doubt is at the house like jamming with us. And I was the happiest, man. My first date with my wife was going to see No Doubt at the Berkeley Square.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, all right.
Oh no, we do some ska here, and actually my wife worked at the law office that Rancid's attorney. So Lars Lars would come in all the time, and she's like, "You ever heard of a band called Rancid?" It's like,
I sure have. Yeah, that's too funny, man. I remember. This is like not a great story, very short one. I remember being like probably 16 or something, and we got on the train, we went in the city to see Rancid, and we were like getting a slice of pizza around the corner. And Lars walked into the pizza shop, and we were like, holy shit, like this is awesome. And he actually he signed my friend's skateboard, which we thought was so cool. But he was like, man, so there used to be this club around here called the Rat, and I guess now it's just this like pizza place. Like it used to be in the basement, and it was like, this is so fucking cool, man. Like the Rat was like the original like underground punk dirty. It was our CBs, you know what I mean? I mean, I say our. I never went there, unfortunately.
You never went.
The name was appropriate.
Yeah, the Rat, exactly.
Just
man.
like a
it was
dirt.
Ratty. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, my sister said he was always cool as shit, even though like you're a, you know, like a fucking punk rock star. You don't need to be cool when you go to your lawyer's office.
Yeah.
I almost feel like you'd be obligated to be kind of a dickhead at a lawyer's office just to like maintain the
how non-punk to have a lawyer.
I know. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like with you we can have our second segment of, so what's your favorite Operation Ivy song?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Oh.
Like we did with Alex.
Yeah.
Damn.
Op
Sound
Ivy.
system?
Come
I
on.
don't know.
Sound system. That was the.
That's the obvious
That's
answer.
what you play at a dance. That's what you play at a middle school dance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've already discussed how Op Ivy is kind of like religion around here. Op Ivy was proof that people can work together. You know, that the punks and the ska dorks
and the ska
dorks can get along.
There's a common thread through all that.
We do have common ground, even if you play a trombone.
Yeah.
So you're 16, 17. You start your first ska band. And how bad was your first band? Or were they not?
I don't think it was terrible. We got through
good.
We recorded like 3 EPs and I swear they were listenable. It's maybe not something that I'm super proud of, but like we had, like anything, you're kind of only as good as your drummer, which is where you start. And we had a great drummer, and the horn section was actually pretty cool. And I just listened to all that stuff. So I just played all those Matt Freeman bass lines, and I think it was cool, you know, maybe cool is not the right word, but it was, it was not awful. Yeah.
It wasn't awful.
We keep teasing an episode where we get a group of people to bring in recordings. So we'll have like 5 of us on and bring recordings from your first band.
Oh,
and then play them for each other.
That's awesome. Yes. I love that. Man, I had to do it. I was gonna say, I got, you know, you kind of lose this shit over the years, but one time I had my car stolen like 15 years ago or something, and I had like a CD spindle with like a bunch of like shitty band practice demos and recordings and little like in progress things that would be interesting to give a listen and be like, oh, that was interesting. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it almost kind of segues into what we're doing here, because we're finding, you know, we mostly get submissions from people that are on Bandcamp. And we're finding that newer bands tend to use Bandcamp as like a storage place for everything they do. So there'll be like demos, practice room recording, so you can like see the progression of a band all the way through to their, you know, their like more polished recordings and later stuff. But it's like people feel less nervous about putting out kind of work in progress.
Cool. That's great.
We talked about this with a bunch of people. Like, what's your thought about, do you only post your music for the world when it's like fucking perfect, or are you fine with throwing up some kind of rough stuff and saying, here's where we were?
I would say a year and a month ago, I would be a little more precious about it. But now I'm like, nah. Like, I mean, even like on my Instagram or whatever, I'll put up like a minute of playing acoustic and covering a song, and I would never do that previously. It's also just kind of like, you know, not gonna not gonna like put up something that's fucking terrible. So you're gonna like run it a few times and get the vocals in a good spot. And you're like, all right, cool, you know, like it's a little rough around the edges, but yeah, sure, here you go. And then like some of those like solo songs or whatever that I was talking about that I did in Logic, it was like, I'm just going to put like one of these out and see what happens. And a bunch of people were like, dude, this is fucking awesome. It kind of is like, sounds Floyd-y. And I was like, I wasn't even going for that, but great, you know? And then you're kind of like, all right, I wasn't 100% sure about this. And at least no one said, this sucks, you shouldn't do this anymore. So you're kind of like, okay, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect to be able to share it with people and put it out there. So
I'm kind of enjoying the reversal, the erosion of that preciousness, you know, like just fuck it, this is what it is. And I also don't judge bands as harshly. I just go like, okay, cool, like if you're gonna make music, record it, create a Bandcamp, upload it, sure, I'll, you know, That's kind of the premise of the show. Sure, let's take a listen.
Let's take a listen.
And we found some really cool stuff.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's your, if you're even doing it remotely right, your like self filter of is this good or good enough to share is usually especially like after you've been playing music for a few years, right? Like you know what's like a piece of trash that you would just be like, this is just going to exist in my phone in the little memo recording and whatever, like it's not something.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, from the consumer's perspective, the people that are completely deluded sometimes provide the most entertaining content. You know what I mean?
Maybe
it's not the best song, but it's fucking funny.
Oh yeah. 100%.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
All right. So after your ska band, what's next?
Yeah. I heard my friend played Boris, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? This is like the greatest thing ever." I mean, it's funny because like like anybody, like I played in like a punk ska. I would say punk ska, punk/ska. You know what I mean? Whatever. But still listening to like Sabbath and stuff at that point. It's not and like Metallica, but like Reload Metallica. You know what I mean? Because I was like, that was the Metallica that I knew, which is funny when you think about it. From there, basically, I was like kind of jamming with a friend who we were like friends, but we'd never played music before. And he was always in like hardcore bands. He was like the sick local hardcore drummer that was in all the bands because he was just like really good. And that's what he did. And then I got together and started jamming with him a little bit. And he was kind of like, well, do you know like this band and this band? And I was like, no, not really. I know what, I mean, of course. But the first time he played, I remember I went over his apartment in Alston when I first moved in. It's probably like 19 or 20, something like that. And he played me the video for Sleep Dragonaut. And I was like, what even is this? This is like the fucking coolest thing I've ever seen. Like what, like anybody, you know what I mean? The first time you hear that shit, you're like, and then it's like, come into this world and see what all this stuff is about, and,
I say it, but I have to say it again. That video was recorded in a practice room that was like 3 doors down from where I practiced.
Awesome. That's awesome.
In a building that doesn't exist anymore in San Jose. That's now guess what? Condos.
Condos. San Jose. Right. Man.
Yeah, an expensive condo complex. Yeah,
dude. It's crazy. Well,
yeah, but that I don't know. I mean, that song's funny because it's a really simple song. And there's nothing remarkable about the song. I maintain I don't know. I think it's the drumming, honestly, in that song.
Dude, yeah.
that really sucks you in.
It's funny because I would 100% agree with that. That was like the first, and like, I mean, I'd listen to, it's funny because I would listen to like Sublime, and then I would listen to like Spaz or Charles Bronson or some weird power violence stuff that like my skater friend, actually Bill Conway, who's half of the Hard Times. I grew up with him, and he kind of turned me on to like, I mean, power violence, extremely fat, like the first extreme music that I heard, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then Sleep was kind of that like, it's groovy in the backbeat. The way he drags his left hand was the first time I'd even heard that beat. And then it's just like, here's a whole genre of that. Here's like 100 bands that do that. But it really, because I mean, it's the way that he plays off of that riff is so, it's just like, oh my, it makes you want to sit down at the drums and just go.
It does. And then I'd sit down and remember how terrible I am at the drums.
It really is the drums that carry that whole song.
I mean,
that's what the most interesting about
that riff is so used and overused and reused as a person who has himself overused and reused it. But goddamn, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's the whole thing that when the particular bass tone that Al had there, like if you're not used to hearing that sort of whatever it was, Ottawa, whatever modulation he had that gave it that sound, and then I don't know. And then when the guitars come in big, I don't know. It's all of it, but the drumming is really. My guitar player Carl still maintains that he can't listen to new Sleep because Hackis isn't there, and it's just like it's not the same.
It's definitely different, and I mean, I kind of thought by now he would be playing with somebody doing something, but like, I mean, I guess you kind of like sort of been there, done that, and if you have a back catalog like that, I might be like, that's something I used to do, and I still love music, but but what a fucking drummer, man. And say I would definitely make that argument with Ohm like 100%. And I love what's his name there from Grails that's now been in the band for like 6 years or something.
I can't think of his name.
You can see his face clear as day. But yeah, as soon as like, because I remember the first time I saw, and Dan Tracy from Deafheaven has a hilarious story that's basically mirrors mine, which is like, you know, he like kind of like probably like some mushrooms and some weed and getting kind of fucked up going to see Ohm, and then it's a different drummer, and it's all he's going like it's a fit. All of a sudden, there's all these fills, and he plays so on top of the beat, and you're just like, dude, this is like not what I came here to see, man. Like this is like this is weird, I wanted man. those long drony grooves, and God, what the fuck's his name? I get the whatever, but yeah, just a completely different thing. Different drummer as well. I'm not so good with names today, but
it's okay.
The dude from Neurosis that is in Sleep now. Yeah.
Yes. Sleep drummer number 2.
Yeah.
It says the current drummer is Emil Amos.
Oh,
for Ohm.
In Ohm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, is that not who we're?
And then what's his name from Neurosis?
Robert Lowe.
But it's funny how people like
Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
I sort of laughed out loud when you said we were ska punk, because I think that was a natural combination, because it was just like where the snare hits is the only thing you really have to change. Change. But that this like need that people have to express. Because you would think if Al really liked the way the old Ohm was, then the new Ohm wouldn't be full of crazy fills and on top of the beat. Yeah. But people have like desires to be different things. And I always think of Matt, like the difference between Sleep and High on Fire, how they express different parts of like his needs, his like musical need or musical personality.
That's a really,
Even for the average listener, I don't know if they would be able to tell the difference. Like my mom would go like, yeah, that's all loud and heavy. That's the same thing. Sure. But for me, the difference between Sleep and High on Fire is so extreme, especially the current High on Fire and like the original Sleep. The first High on Fire record, it sort of there was a lot of bleed. But, it's interesting though how quickly. I mean, that's a really good way to put it. I think it just scratches two completely different itches, for Matt in particular. But it's funny, it definitely starts like close to that sound, and then it just really kind of goes in two different directions.
Well, and that's kind of like, I mean, the bands that you're in. They're 3 distinct sounds, in my opinion. Summoner is your band, right? Not your band, but you started Summoner. Like that was your idea.
Exactly. That's the only band that I sing lead in, that I'm like the front guy. Yeah, exactly. So.
And doing a good chunk of the writing, I'm guessing.
The
songwriting.
Yeah. I get pretty lazy about it though. I'm like the guitarist. I've written like a few riffs and a couple tunes here and there, but it's mostly the guitarist, which is great because I'm like, great. I think it's, as a bass player, you're always just like a supporting role, and I lean into that supporting role. I'm like, yes, give me the ideas and I'll do my thing. I'll do what I can do with it. But for me to be like, and then it's like this, and the vocals go like this. I've only done that a few times, and I get
really?
With it. I'm like, just give me, and then because then they send you some riffs and you kind of fit some lyrics and fit some melodies around and maybe change things around a little bit, but it's just lazy songwriting is what it is. But,
It's fine though. Like when you look at the overall picture of the band, I'm guessing that the feeling is that you're pulling enough weight, because that's sort of what it ends up being about, is like who's pulling which weights. And I have a hard time. I always say I'm terrible at writing riffs, and I don't know if I don't even think of the bass that way. The bass doesn't really even exist until I hear it, until I hear the guitar, and then it's like, all right, so how do I work in and around and through that?
Absolutely.
So do you think the two of you being bass players, would you want to be in like one of those bass drum bands where the bass player is writing all of the music?
Terrifying.
I will say, having done those jams, like a two-part, like just a drums and bass jam, or even like a 3-piece with a guitar, but kind of like holding it down, sort of at least dictating chord changes and shit like that, I can lean into that. But it has to be in the like earthless kind of way, as opposed to being like, and then here comes the chorus, and like now we're on a verse. It's like we can jam this thing for a few minutes, and then we'll kind of hit a bridge thing.
We'll morph it. Yeah.
If we're smart, we can try to bring that first part back around or something like that. But but it's interesting, and it's funny. The reason I had to cancel, or what I asked if it was okay to move it around the other day. is because some friends that I have been playing music with for, I mean, off and on for the last like 15, 18 years or so, we've started playing, we just started like playing music again, and it's definitely different. And I'm playing guitar in this, and it is like, I have been like, here, I wrote a song. Here's 3 guitar parts. I've got like the lyrics and the vocals all figured out. Here's my boring GarageBand or Logic demo of it, you know, and then let's see what it's like with a real drummer. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, it was been so long of, you know, between bouncing ideas off other people and that whole thing. So I'm trying to get better about it. And it's like, again, it's easy to be lazy with this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really rewarding when you're not. And as soon as you put a little bit in and you get a bunch back, it's like, oh my, yes, this is great. Like, you know.
Yeah, maybe I should try that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I don't think bass is a songwriting instrument at all.
I would agree. Agree.
It's not. There's no. It's melodic, but since you're not playing, for the most part, playing chords, it's hard to kind of dictate the mood of the song. You know,
that's a good way to put that. Yeah.
Like someone strums a chord and I go, okay, I know what that chord is. I know what needs to be done around that. But if I play, if I just, you know, play a bass line, the guitar player may not be able to immediately hear. Everybody might not be able to immediately hear like what chord I'm playing, what mode I'm playing, like what's the feeling or the flavor of it. The only time I write is when we have like, there's going to be a breakdown. And we know there's going to be kind of like a passage that's like a little bit psychedelic, like kind of out there, where I know what the guitar is going to be doing is just sort of exploring and playing around. And then I need to set a repeating tone, and it always ends up being like a King Buffalo song.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like where you ride a part and you kind of morph it and evolve it and like take it in different directions, but you're holding a center so that the other people can explore around it.
That's great. Yeah. It's funny when that thing happens too, and when you're kind of doing it right, it's like you can, like you said, if you're just grounding it, you're holding that chunk down, and you can do some up the neck stuff or some fills and stuff. But if it always comes back around, it's like you can almost do the same thing. And if the drums change enough and the guitar changes enough and whatever, it's like you've turned like a riff that's 12 seconds long into like 6 minutes of music, which is how, you know.
And you have now. Yeah, you've now described every King Buffalo song.
Yeah,
that's why I like it so much.
We were cracking up. His younger daughter, he's been watching those quarantine videos that they recorded. They like played through all their records, and uploaded them on YouTube. And
I actually didn't know that was a thing. I'll have to look into that. That sounds sick. Yeah,
great.
Okay. Great.
There's like what, 4 long live sets?
4 of them. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they don't play every song from each of the albums, but they play, you know, 4 or 5 songs off of each album.
But his daughter will come in at night after everybody else is in bed and go, "Is it time to watch King Buffalo?" What are you doing? You watching King Buffalo?
Dad, you watching
videos,
King Buffalo?
Yeah.
Mom went to bed. Is it King Buffalo time?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it is.
How'd you guess? Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure
cool.
that the Elder show that you engineered in Boston at once, I think King Buffalo opened that show.
Oh, did they?
I'm pretty sure they did. I saw Elder there twice.
That makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to remember because we, I mean, you know, these shows all blend in.
You played too.
Yeah, we definitely Summoner played one of those Elder at Once massive show, especially because I mean they are or at least were, but to me are a Boston band, even though nobody lives in Boston. But just because I mean we came up with them. They used to play my basement in Alston, like when they were, you know, when it was hilarious that they were called Elder because they were like 19, and it was just like the juxtaposition was funny. But yeah, we've played with King Buffalo at O'Brien's, which is like a 90
I have been
capacity.
to O'Brien's.
That spot, man. Yeah.
I can't imagine. That's like seeing King Buffalo and Summoner at not even the Caravan, like 2/3 of the Caravan.
What?
Yeah, it's
tiny.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was a sick show. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy. That would be amazing.
And that was the last time I saw them. So but they might have played that once show. I'm sure they did at some point, especially if there was a couple. But yeah, what an awesome band. And that was one of those things, like I had heard them, I knew they were great. and then we're playing at O'Brien's with them, and I was like, this is like, yeah, your caliber is up here, guys. I didn't really know that.
Yeah, completely.
And the songs are simple. They just do that thing so well where they just like ride that theme for a long time and kind of like let it evolve. I mean, that's the music that you get from just being in a room with whoever, two other guys in their case, and just go and just play for hours and hours. Those songs just sort of grow out of jamming.
Yeah,
I love it.
And they just announced they're going to put out 3 albums this year.
Holy shit!
Wow. Very King Gizzard of them. That's impressive.
I know, right? They're riding that king. There's a king thing going on here.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. So like, you know, all the music that you've done and having, you know, started in a ska band. I mean, did you ever think that you would be nominated for a Grammy? Let's talk about that for a second.
We can let's
fucking Grammy.
I gotta tell you, man, waking up to that text message was like, the song's 14 minutes long. What the fuck? How do they even know our band? What is even happening? It was just like, this is like, are you sure? You know, like,
is this a joke?
Yeah, right.
Is this
exactly.
one of Santos jokes texts?
Yeah.
You've been Santos.
Yeah.
Oh, he would totally do that.
No, I mean, like, needless to say, no, I never pictured something like that happening. And I had a great time writing and recording and playing on Ordinary Corrupt Human Love, the Deafheaven record.
Incredible album.
Thanks. I mean, I was like, this is cool. This is like an evolution for the band. That was a lot of fun. I fucking love this. And then we did a shitload of touring. And then in December, it was like, hey, guess what? It was like, are you kidding me? And again, it's literally a 14-minute long song. I was like, what? Yeah. I think something like that. But
I mean, they've definitely revamped the selection committee and the vote. I mean, are you a voting member of the Academy?
I'm not. What's kind of weird is it's like a pay to play. Like there's like a union dues kind of thing, if you will. And I was sort of like, I don't know, man, maybe in a couple of years or something, but I didn't, which is probably not the right angle to take on it. You know what I mean? It's like you should, because they're to your point, like it is a revamp. It is trying to include sort of like some, you know, more peripheral bands and not just like major pop
major labels.
Or I think at the very least it seems like they're trying to take people who understand the genres better to take the lead in nominations. I mean, okay, fine, Ice-T, whatever, Body Count won this year, but what was more interesting was that Power Trip and Code Orange were nominated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when you look, because that was, again, like when we got the nomination, I was kind of like, this is one of these things that, you know, you don't really pay attention to necessarily until all of a sudden you're wrapped up in it. And then I'm like, okay, well, in the last, you know, X amount of years, who's won it? I was like, right, Mastodon. And you kind of, High on Fire won our year, exactly. But it's funny, like seeing, there's a definite, like it goes from like Metallica and like all the bigger bands to like within a couple years you're like, oh, these are like working touring level bands. Like that's interesting. Like you can tell there was, whether it's personnel or what it was, but well, it's interesting. Our engineer
Chris Hughes, he was a voting member for the first time in the last Grammys.
Oh, cool.
So we kind of talked to him about the process a little bit, and they don't tell you, don't have to qualify. So once you're a member, you self-select what you're going to vote for. So that's why you have Body Count winning the Heavy Metal Award. If there's someone really well known, then I think like the average voter who doesn't know anything about metal is just more likely to check that name.
I'll vote for them. I've heard of them.
Yeah, like literally. Yeah, that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Yeah.
Like I think the biggest band your year was like Trivium, maybe. You know, so I mean, so there wasn't a name that would suck the air out of the room for all of the disengaged voters.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was pretty early on in the conversation when we were like, holy shit, there's no what's the phrase, like legacy bands. There's no legacy bands this year. Like some normal tour, normal, some band that doesn't play, you know, stadiums is actually going to have a shot at this thing, you know. Which was pretty cool. Yeah,
that's crazy. What was that experience like? I mean, you were there,
I mean, dude,
we saw the red carpet shots.
Yeah,
you have your own. There's, you got your stock photos.
Yeah. I would use the phrase "fish out of water" experience. Very fish out of water experience. Yeah, it was crazy from the minute that we all met up and everyone's all dressed up, and Kathy, our manager's there, and everyone's like girlfriends and wives and stuff is there, and we're all looking around like, this is it, man. And then then the cars come and we're getting driven over there. It's like, oh my God, this is really, and then you roll up and I didn't know what to expect. But you get there, people it was raining. So people come over and open the umbrella and walk us out of the car. I was like, holy shit. And then you're just, exactly. And then from there, it just gets kind of funnier because you're ushered into the red carpet area, which I literally didn't even realize this was the red carpet. Cause you look down and there's just all these tables set up with reporters and their cameras behind there, and I'm like, oh, this is what is all this? And it's this is what this is the red carpet, you idiot, and it's so funny because we start going down, and we had our publicist there, and she was like, oh, I've got this metal band, Deafheaven here. They're nominated in the metal category, and you could literally see the reporters oh, no. And so we're like, okay, well,
we're good.
Yeah. They're like, metal? I don't know what that is now. Which was very fun. So it's this kind of back and forth. Oh my God. And then okay, back down to reality real quick here. Yeah.
Or the video footage when High on Fire won, they pan into the audience and you guys are in a nearly empty auditorium.
Yeah. So there's
no crowd.
secondary location is where they do the big genres.
Award show done earlier today.
Previously. It's funny too because it's it's literally all the smaller genres, which is funny when you think about it. It's yes, metal is a sub-genre, but millions of people listen to metal and go to metal shows, but so it's classical and jazz and soundtracks and metal and stuff. So we're all kind of just this, everyone's kind of I don't know, what are we even doing here? This is interesting. Yeah. And world music, a bunch of world music stuff. Dude, yeah. So basically, I go in there, walk down. We obviously did do a couple interviews. It wasn't everybody brushed us off, but it was very funny. The first time I literally saw no, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
So metal injection doesn't have a table at the.
I know, right? Yeah, we're kind of looking around. It's NBC, CBS. No, none of these people would want to talk to us. This is crazy. So yeah, we go in the auditorium and you're just kind of waiting, and you're like, okay, we got 2.5 hours. This is gonna be okay. Just kind of sitting there waiting. But when High on Fire got it, it was obviously you're fucking goddamn it, / hell yeah, that's of all the bands in the category, I'm dude, talk about the touring working musicians that have been grinding it out and
100%.
have a double-digit catalog. You know what I mean? It's dude, they're yeah. And I know those guys. When I was still doing sound for Doomriders, we did a sick little run that was Doomriders, Caveller Talk, High on Fire, and that was
wow. No big deal.
Really sick. Yeah, I know exactly. And I was just thanks for bringing me along. But anyway, so and my friend, actually Alyssa, Matt's wife, she did the first 2 Summoner album covers.
Yes.
And we played at her basement in Philly. So I had known her separately from that when they all got, so it was kind of a big family affair. So in other words, when they won it, I was okay, I feel the best about losing to them,
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that was the collective thought of the entire heavy underground was fuck yeah.
It was holy shit. Yeah.
Well,
and they're just Matt. Yeah, sorry.
I think it had a lot to do with Matt just having a year, because it wasn't just the High on Fire record, it was the Sleep record too. And and everyone was just this is kind of undeniable that this time it's time. So
yeah, it was funny too. His acceptance speech was so funny. He was just I forget, but to paraphrase, it was basically well, I don't know what the hell, we've been doing this for 25 years, I guess, thanks, kind of thing. And it was so funny. And Jeff was Jeff about it. Thank you.
Being so Jeff, most Jeff.
Thank you to a bunch of people who have probably never been to a single one of our shows.
And Dez was check, career satisfied.
Literally.
Satisfied. I'm done.
Yeah. The interesting part is he was already out nobody knew it when they when they did that. You know what I mean? It was already like, so it was kind of weird, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, exactly. Thanks to my friends and my family and everybody, and I'll see you all later.
Now I have a track star to raise.
Yeah.
His son is his son is like nationally ranked, like I think Olympic hopeful level track star.
Whoa, that's crazy. That's interesting.
So
cool.
I think he was like, and Des ran the business. So I'm sure he's set up enough that he could just say like, toured the world 100 times, check. Played every stage I could ever imagine playing, check. Won a Grammy, check.
Won a Grammy, yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't easy for anyone, but
he
was. Him and his drumming is such a huge part of the sound of that band.
Absolutely.
You say track star, and I remember our Christian episode. You're a track star, and I'm a rock star.
Christian from Horrors talking about his experience with the junkie, who saw them and said, "You
track stars.
No, he said, "You rock stars. I'm a track star.
I'm a track star."
Like, held out
referring to his tracks. Track marks.
Look what I've been dedicating my life to. Cool, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. I like that dude a lot. I've actually I've only bumped into him like once or twice, but we kind of chat on Instagram and shit every now and then. But he's a good dude.
He is. Yeah, he did a fun episode, and Alyssa did an episode too. So
nice, cool. That's great.
She was
great.
She's
have her back on
absolutely hilarious.
Nice. Yeah, she's super funny. I always hit her up when I come through Portland now, and
nice.
Whenever that's gonna be.
Stop talking about music for a second. Listen to a little bit of music.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Should we do that? Should we dig in?
I guess
let's do it.
I guess that's what we're doing here. All right, who's first?
Our first band is, I think they're called Ildaruni.
It's more Lord of the Rings shit. I can't. One thing we've discovered is that
Lord of the Rings.
I don't know. I'm assuming it sounds like it would be. There are a lot of people who have written music dedicated to Lord of the Rings, as it turns out.
Interesting.
To no one's surprise.
I blame. Starts with Robert Plant, and then
seriously.
Didn't we listen to one band that literally just like read off Tolkien poems to like heavy metal in the background?
Well, there was a band that was based on not the troll, what was Gimli?
Yeah.
Remember, like the name of the band was something like
Gimli and his 12
warriors and every single song was about Gimli and his family.
Wow.
Like, it's like
that's
dedication.
I was gonna say that's dedication. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen so that you can actually see who we're.
All right, let's check it out.
We'll be listening to here. Let me know when you're all good.
All right.
There we are. Wow, look at that album art. Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's check it out. So we got like a big maybe painting, maybe digital of like a city, and then a big canyon. I don't know. It's kind of.
Oh, is that a waterfall?
Looks Adam Burke-ish. That could be that could be one of Adam's paintings.
Adam Burke-esque.
Yeah, colors aren't right though. Adam's funny. He has a very specific palette, and he only has like a really narrow set of like paint colors that he works with. So if you want something outside of that, he's just like, sorry, nope, that's not my palette.
I don't do that. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
The Roonies.
All right. So what song do they want us to hear? They are from.
Oh, they're Armenian. All right, black metal from Armenia. Okay.
Okay.
So as a reminder, we have not heard these.
Great.
People just send these to us. We decide which ones we're going to put in each episode, and we've never heard them. Yeah. If we have heard of the band, we don't pick them.
Yeah.
So
I love when
like we got a request or a submission last week from Pinkish Black, and I was like, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, we know you, but you want to come on the show?
So look. Now I'm looking at this too. Subscribe now. Receive all new. Okay.
Oh, their label.
Because it said I saw 82 back catalog items, and I was like, how much music does this band have? No, that's the label. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This is gonna be one of those label one day. Who was it that was on that? Someone submitted like from Serbia. and they had a label.
Oh yeah.
And it was like all Serbian musicians, from metal to like this insane like lounge music,
everything.
Whoa.
psychedelic.
It was crazy.
So we just
That's
like
crazy,
went down
yeah.
this rabbit hole of whatever this label had. I'm
Interesting.
fascinated. What's an Armenian label got? Especially because I just listened to the hour plus long episode of Surge on Mark Maron.
Oh yeah.
Talking all about Armenia and the genocide and stuff.
Interesting.
Well, let's dig into this. Let's see what Ildruni.
What song do they want us to listen to?
Boundless Newman.
Boundless Newman, Gardens of Ardini. All right, so this is Ildruna, blacklion.bandcamp.com. All right, well, just look them up.
Lion is the label. Yeah.
Boundless
All right,
Newman.
let's do it.
All right. Ooh.
Ooh, they're swinging for the fences right out of the gate.
I was gonna say, right? I love leaning into it like that. Like we're just gonna the blast beat is here. You go, ready?
Yeah.
Yo.
From second one, but then it turned into a minute-long intro.
Yeah.
No
Right.
matter, I don't know what it is about metal musicians. We just love our minute-long.
Minute-long intro.
Yeah, yeah. If you write an 8-minute long song, you know,
Yeah.
that was pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, yeah. Right out of the gate, super sick. Really interesting. So kind of like normal stuff from the black metal playbook until the bass started going bananas all the way up there at the end of that intro. I was like, or banana, it was climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing.
Yeah, and a little bit cleaner on the production side, which I have a feeling is going to make it appeal to you more. JD's not the biggest black metal fan in general.
Sure, yeah.
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
the like noise aesthetic of the recording, I think has a lot to do with it. But that's nice.
Completely.
That's,
I was thinking that too. There was something about it that I don't normally like. A lot of other bands, we probably have listened to other bands that sound somewhat like this, and I'm like, yeah, not for
can't
me.
hear
But
it.
this one, I'm kind of like, there's something about it.
Yeah.
I kind of
yeah.
like it.
My first impression was my first impression was like, this is good black metal, this is rad. And then the vocals came in, I was like, oh yeah, a little bit more up front, a little bit not cleaner singing, but cleaner production wise. You know what I mean? Usually they're way back with a shitload of hall reverb or whatever.
Yeah, that
on
giant
there.
cavern reverb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which-
Like here, I'll play a little bit more, and then I'll add the normal black metal production on top of it. You
How are
ready?
you gonna do that?
Yeah, I like it, and that's what it is, because that noise keeps you from hearing the melodic lines, because
That's
there's
gotta be
always
what it
like a
is.
nice melodic line running through black metal,
Yeah.
but you just can't. It's hard
Can't
to
hear
pick
it.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I mean, looking at their description, it says they're intense black metal with ancient folk melodies.
Oh,
And I think I can
Look at that.
hear that. There's something in the guitars. I think there's 2 guitarists maybe.
at least.
And like the second guitarist is playing something that it does not sound like black metal to me. Wow, these guys are
interesting.
scary.
Yeah, that was one of the
Look at all
things.
their matching vests, though. Those are cute.
I like that. Yeah.
That was one of the things that Marin asked Serge about System of a Down, because he's like, I've never been a metal fan, but when I heard those first System of a Down records, there was something different. And I think it was the melodic influence of Armenian folk music. And Serge basically confirmed our melodies are different because we grew up hearing different melodies. That's just the way it is. It'd be really fascinating, honestly, if you could get them King Gizzard style playing some microtonal stuff, because then you could really you could really replicate those melodies, because they have notes we don't have.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, right. Man, I wrote it's just a dumb little, very King Gizzardy riff the other day, but it had a little bend in it, and I was like, that's a microtone. I squeezed one in there, and you just kind of get it. Just but that's interesting. Kind of off subject, not to go on a tangent, but it's been interesting seeing Jeff Matz playing a lot of he's got all these Turkish instruments. Yeah, really cool.
Playing it, I saw him in Billy's studio yesterday recording for Matt's solo record.
The solo record, which I was like, that's gonna probably be pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I have heard tell. Maybe I have heard even little tidbits of it, and it's pretty badass.
Nice.
On top of, so Matt had a band for a while called Callus, where he actually was the singer.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
The other main guy in Callus, Paul Cott, has a band called High Tone Son of a Bitch. And Billy's in High Tone, and they went up there and recorded, and I heard tell there's a song they recorded with Matt singing, so kind of like old Callus days.
Interesting.
Matt just doing vocals.
Cool.
Well, no, I actually heard the song.
Why don't we skip forward to this? Let's go to the middle of this 9-minute song.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
you want to hear? All right.
Okay. I want to hear what else happens.
Okay. So
can they do that for 9 minutes?
Oh yeah. 100%.
Is that wow?
I don't think you've ever been to a pure black metal show.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they can.
Yeah. It depends if it's atmospheric or not. If there's gonna be a 4-minute long bridge or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, there might be like a kind of a wispy passage with clean guitars and candles and lots of goat skulls and stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
The closest you've been to is the night we saw Zealand Ardor and Astronoid.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was like sort of black metal night, but not really.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear kind of where you would expect some sort of breakdown or a little melodic passage.
What was remember that band we saw at the local band with that got all dressed up with wasn't that black metal?
Yeah.
I mean, sort of.
Okay,
it wasn't great black metal, but it was black metal, right?
So we talked
it was an attempt.
I'm fascinated about your opinion on this. So black metal central conceit is the blast beat, right?
Sure.
And one of them. The blast beats are really hard to play with any kind of volume. Right.
Yes.
So in order to keep that pace up, you gotta hit kind of soft.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a low level black metal band playing at dive bars that don't have PAs, then you have to play this weird variant of black metal that's super quiet. So that everybody can hear everything. And so these guys walk up, the drummer sets up, they all have like plague bearer hoods on and so fucking serious, and they roll all the gear in, and then they turn on and play, and it's at like low car stereo volume.
You can easily have a conversation over it. Yeah.
And the whole thing just like completely loses its mystique because it's so quiet. It's like not punishing or brutal at all.
Well, that's the thing. Like it's really oppressive sounding music, and you need the waves crashing over you for it to be oppressive, for it to come off like that. That's interesting. What's kind of funny is I remember I was talking to Kurt Ballou one time, and he was like, it's really funny. Like in the 90s, like we would see these like black metal bands, and like I forget what the hell he was saying. It was basically like they weren't quite sure with the blast beat yet if there even was like a snare in there, like if it was just like kick and hat kind of thing, because you couldn't hear anything, including like on some of those recordings. I was just like, wow, I never thought about that. Yeah, well, if there's no mic on it, you're not gonna hear shit. It'll just go
Yeah.
I mean, and that's option B though, is to drown out the drummer, so that to play in a little tiny venue and just have like a tremolo picking nightmare for an hour
until the halftime breakdown, and then there's the snare. I can hear that thing.
There's the drummer.
They can't be true black metal with a halftime breakdown.
Yeah. We're not gonna pump the brakes.
All right.
But see what we got here.
Let's do this.
All right. I've been holding my thumb on this
Okay.
button. Now it's cramped up now.
Oh, is it going to start playing as soon as you let go?
Yeah.
Whoa. I hear it now.
That was not black metal,
No,
right?
no.
Like, I mean, that was like a straight up right out
It's
of
a guitar solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
you know,
no guitar solos in black metal.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
But it made me like it. You
Yeah,
know?
no,
I mean,
I know.
and I'm not a fan of guitar solos.
Oh, now it comes out.
Now
Yeah.
it comes out.
I think like intentionally introducing like a bunch of melody, like a bunch of something to sink your teeth into like that. Here's like almost like a Satriani solo or something like that, you know, like a very musical big bends and stuff like that. Exactly. Traditional black metal, absolutely not. In 2021,
cares?
yeah, you know, you then it's, you know, it's rooted in that.
Il
but, you
Daruni
know.
could help me like black metal.
Well, look,
Yeah.
you're in one of those bands. I mean, the band that's probably the biggest argument in the world about
Yeah.
what is and isn't
Yeah.
black metal,
they're
which
not black metal, they're
which-
black gaze.
I love. By the
Correct.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I listened to that record, and the first record that I thought of, and then it was funny because then I read another review that was similar. Was Siamese Dream.
Okay.
The second, studio record from Smashing Pumpkins.
Mhm.
And that sounds insane.
They compared it to it?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
I told it to me. I hear more Smashing Pumpkins than I hear almost anything else in that record, which is, I mean, I don't know if that's what anyone intended, but it's and it doesn't make sense, but I don't know, it's weird.
Which record?
In Ordinary.
Corrupt
Oh,
Human
yeah,
Love?
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting. There's definitely like a more of like, I mean, I was going to say like indie rock, but something like that, alternative or something like rock based versus like obviously super just like oppressive stuff.
Yeah, there's
like,
something dreamy. Dreamy is like the word that I think of. There's something
Yeah.
dreamy and like positive or hopeful
Yeah.
in
That's-
like the kind of big soaring.
Well, and I
parts.
think that's the thing too,
Yeah.
is like normally I would say I don't like black metal. But then you get stuff like this and, like you guys that I would be like, well, if this is classified as black metal, then I guess I like black metal. You
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
It's funny because like traditionally, yeah, it should be like a pretty finite thing. You know what you're getting with black metal. You know what I mean? It's and we've already gone over most of it, which is like it's kind of supposed to sound like shit. You're kind of supposed to not really even be able to tell exactly what
What's
the
going
chord is, what the vocals are doing or whatever. And then, it's like anything that's sort of the prototype of it. And then with each generation or, group of people that keep playing it, you can kind
Revise
of
it.
see what you can get away with. And like our band definitely, was like, oh, let's see how much we can get away with. And
Yeah.
yeah.
and you
but-
piss some people off and you got some new fans too. Probably,
yeah, exactly,
right?
which is
You-
always, I think, best case scenario. It's funny.
Oh, for sure. For
It's
me.
funny when people get mad about your music. That's just the funniest thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
And and if it's undeniably good, like you put all that effort into it, then you can kind of just sit back and be like, yeah, it's gonna ruffle some feathers, and some other people are gonna be like, this is pretty interesting,
Yeah, and you push some pretty wild boundaries, like having short hair and wearing white
Yeah.
t-shirts.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes wearing tan on stage.
Yeah.
And
It's like Obama Suitgate or whatever.
All right, so this next band, this one's called they're called the Oslo Tapes.
Looks like we're going to Italy.
Ooh, we're going to Italy on this one. I really love that
Okay.
we're getting all these international submissions.
Yeah, it's great.
It was actually kind of funny. We somebody sent us a random like they pulled our analytics for something. I can't remember what it was, just off of some podcast network, I guess. And they said that we were like our most listened to country was the Czech Republic, I think.
It's not true, but
no, it wasn't true.
No.
Oh, damn it! I wanted it to be true.
Overall, no, not even close. No, unfortunately, for our audience is primarily in North America.
North America.
Gotcha.
We do have people around the world,
But I love getting all these international submissions. So keep it coming, folks.
killer. So this
It's
is cool.
It's just nice seeing when your thing gets out there a little bit more. Like even with Summoner, like we can't and don't and haven't ever toured, and you'll still see somebody from Norway adding you on Facebook or something, and you're like, wow, that's kind of cool. How did you know? I don't know.
Completely.
Yeah,
Completely.
the internet. Oh, this album cover just makes me want to go home and play D&D.
Nice.
Yeah,
the cover grabbed my eye pretty quick. I love the sort of airbrush style and the line work is very like 1972.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
like it's like stippled. It's like a RGB fuzz tool in Photoshop or something.
Okay, so the Oslo tapes from Italy.
They only have one song available, so I guess they want us to listen to Zenith.
Pre-order, yes.
All right, let me make sure my volume is at a proper level.
All right, let's do it.
I don't know what this is going to be, and I didn't even read the preview.
Cool, even better. Ooh.
All right, so the problem with that is I'm going to do exactly what that wants me to do and just like kind of zone out and listen to it. For an hour without really thinking, and then wake up and be like, "Oh, we're still recording."
I like that.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
That's actually really good. My first thought was like, dude, that kick drum sounds fucking great. I mean, these headphones add a little bit of low end, but I was like, ooh, nice open and kind of down tuned. The kick sounds great. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Is like you present to me in the first seconds of your recording competently recorded drums. And I will listen.
You're gonna keep.
I'm gonna keep listening real quick. Though it sounds, and like keep in mind you're hearing it through Zoom, and
right.
It's not what it actually. It's not as good as it actually sounds. If we flip, like we're sharing that audio feed, but when we flip over and listen through the interface, it's gonna sound incredible. I can tell.
Oh, I'm total. I'm. This album comes out in June. I think I'll pre-order.
Well, this is their third album, so if King Buffalo needs another band to tour with,
right. Yeah.
There you go, guys. Oslo tapes.
It's interesting. I was kind of trying to read the description or bio or whatever just a little bit. So I also noticed Pelagic, which is what they're on. Pelagic.
Oh, they're
Records.
on Pelagic. Oh,
yeah. Okay. So they're too big. We shouldn't even be listening. No, I'm just kidding. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's like the Ocean, and some friends of mine do that label.
Yes.
And look at this. Yeah, this all makes total sense. I heard all these things in it. I saw the word kraut go by up there, and then I just,
Mogwai. It was an Italian guy who went to Norway and left deeply impressed with the music and I guess all of Norway. So this project is called Oslo Tapes, and like the title is Norwegian.
There we go. Super cool.
Italians who love Norway. All right, let's play the who does what in the band game.
So
we're looking at
the singer is the guy with the hair.
Is it? You think?
100%.
Probably. Although, what if it's like chill guy on our left with the beard and
that's the bass player.
The sideways glance.
No,
you put the bass player in the back.
Could be. bass
Yeah,
player
right?
goes in the back.
I was gonna say
it's all skinny guy in the back.
the guy with the hat might be the bass player, but you
Yeah.
might be right. You might be right. I'm gonna say the guy on the left is the songwriter guitarist guy, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. I
Maybe not.
feel that.
Yeah.
And if anyone's confused and you're watching this on YouTube, just go to their Bandcamp page, which is oslotapes.bandcamp.com, and look at the band photo.
Yes.
Oh, right.
The singer dude with
looks
the
like
long
somebody.
hair is giving me like Jack White
Yeah.
meets somebody else kind of a situation.
Well, yeah, completely.
All right, so Pelagic, they don't really need our help, but maybe. I mean, shit, it's not like those.
Yeah.
It's not like those bands. I mean, I love those bands, and people know who they are, but they're not Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sure they could
yeah,
still use
yeah.
a couple dollars.
Yeah. That was cool. I would definitely listen to a record
Super
of that.
cool.
And
Yeah. So right now, all that's up of that from this record is one song, and
Still
then
one tune.
on their Bandcamp, it mentions that that this is their third album, but this is the only one on Bandcamp, which means it's probably a label because it's Pelagic. They
That makes sense.
One of the things we always run into that's annoying about Bandcamp is the difference between having your band page and then being on a label and not
I never
being,
thought of that.
and not being able,
Yeah.
like, you'll find bands that get signed to a label part of the way, and so when you go to their Bandcamp, it'll be everything up to their signing on a band page, and then after on a label page. I wish, if you're listening, Bandcamp or Sarah, when you come on, let me double list. Let me list an album. I know why you put it on the label page, because the label gets to collect the contacts because they're the ones paying or whatever. But especially a label deal like us, like Glory or Death or Ripple.
Yeah.
They're not paying the bands. All they're doing is giving you a cut of the physical merch.
Yeah.
Sure.
So maybe they have some digital deals too.
Yeah.
But I mean, just let me collect the names. What do you or
Yeah.
or at least
Yeah.
let us double list it so that my band's entire discography can be on my Bandcamp page.
Yeah.
Some of it's on different labels.
Yeah,
and to your point earlier too, it's kind of, especially for like smaller bands, I guess, like you're saying, it's like it should be their whole catalog. Like here's some demos or rough stuff, and here's this and here's that. It's interesting though. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, it makes sense.
Completely.
Yeah, like if we got signed to whatever, pick a Heavy Psych Sounds or some somebody a step above where we are now, and then they're going to release our digital, then when you go to my Bandcamp page, it's only going to be the first two records. That's annoying. It does,
Right.
And there's no reason for it. They can still get the benefits of being the label owning the record, and then let me cross list on my page.
Yeah, for sure.
These
It
guys,
is
they
weird,
don't look like they're not. I mean, they might be on a semi-big label, but they don't. I mean, they've got 1,700 Facebook followers and 300 monthly listeners on Spotify. So I mean, they're not huge. By any
No,
means.
yeah. It is weird to sort of limit their catalog. The stuff you can even listen to. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, do we have one more?
Yeah, we've got this. So this next one is a Bandcamp. It's the Bandcamp pick. It's the far left.
Far left.
April plus Vista.
So Bandcamp does a lot of really cool curation and just music writing, exposing different regional scenes, different genre scenes, and up and coming artists. They have, on top of building this platform, and they're also trying to do some really cool education. And they get into the weeds, man. They get into some really niche stuff. So it's cool.
That's awesome.
And especially because we know they support metal probably more than any other platform, as far as like saying, hey, this is actually something that we want to focus on and expose to the world more than
Can't say this is going to be metal, but
I don't know
Yeah.
if it is. It kind of looks.
this is on there. So this is the best albums of winter 2021.
Okay.
No shit.
And I
Interesting.
picked them because they were the first one listed, and their album art looked amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But yeah,
That's cool though. I didn't know that they really did, or that there was writers or somebody doing any kind of like curation and sort of highlighting stuff like that. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Clearly I'm underusing Bandcamp.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Come on, get with it.
Yeah, I mean,
I know,
what are some of the weird niches that we've been exposed to, like Chicano soul in San Antonio, like the Chicano soul movement in San Antonio, Texas.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like really digging in.
Alt country, all kinds of different ones.
Video game soundtracks.
Yeah. So so the song is The Receiver.
The Receiver. All right, here we go. It's got a featuring on it, which usually indicates something to me. Featuring
means it's
zero.
Probably a vocalist is my guess.
Or a rapper.
Oh yeah.
Crossing
or
my
a
fingers.
rapper.
All right.
Yeah. Whoa.
Give me light, give me peace, give me moments I can keep. Let me swim there with these. Give me love in a basin of blue. Let me wash myself anew. Never mind what we lose. Give me love. Give me watch it boil and see.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Her voice, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny. It's very like that vocal style, especially I feel like for people like in their 20s, it's like so many people, especially a female voice like that has that like that diction, that
Yeah.
cadence kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
very much popular right now, and I love it. I think it's awesome. It's like
Yeah.
that smoky soul. But
Yeah, the Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday, boom, exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like mousy kind of, but expressive. It's a terrible
It
way
kind of
to put
reminds
it, but
me
you
of
know,
like some of that early to mid 90s like trip hop.
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
had, like,
Trip hop and neo
Yeah.
soul kind of.
That's
mixed
actually a
yeah,
very-
like,
together.
that's like
That's-
very kind of Portisheady.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very good
Yeah.
point. And that's
So
the
good.
vocal style. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was really good, man. And super down-tuned. Like the root note in there was like,
low.
yeah, when it
Yeah.
first kicked in,
No,
was
I
like,
heard that
"Woo!"
shit.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll read the people who are listening. This is a duo from DC, April George, who is a violinist, pianist, vocalist, and composer. So we're talking serious credentials.
Yeah.
Not a lady who can sing. If you're a
Yeah,
violinist and a composer,
Composer is you're
And-
like, whoa, okay. Yeah.
and then Matt Vista, the producer, bassist, and composer. So he's like, oh, we'll go low.
Fusing love
Yeah.
and soundscape. Yeah, that was definitely a soundscape is what
Yeah.
how you describe that for sure.
That's
So this says that the mood of the album was inspired in part by April's experiences with sleep paralysis.
Oh, that's why
Ooh.
the cover is
That's
what
great.
the cover is. That cover
Interesting.
is terrifying.
That is
Yeah.
terrifying. Yeah.
Man, it's funny that whole sleep paralysis thing. I was like just talking to my wife about that the other day. I was like, man, I used to get those kind of dreams every now and again.
Oh, really?
And it's such good, like most of like a bulk of Chelsea Wolfe's catalog is like
Is
that.
about that. Yeah.
Is about
yeah.
that.
Wow.
I read about that.
Experiences, which is cool. It's like this
Wow.
limitless thing to pull from because it's like such a weird, horrifying experience.
Except you
I've
have
had
to.
it happen to me twice.
Oh god.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
fucking scary.
Yeah, yeah.
Scary. Like,
I was-
Sadie didn't know if I was having a seizure or if she should wake me up.
Yeah,
or, like,
right,
she didn't
right.
know what to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just laying in bed frozen, whimpering.
Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty far out. I had a couple pretty fucking good, pretty vivid ones, like a few honestly years ago now at this point, and it's the kind of thing where it's like definitely sort of masochistic, but you're like, how do I recreate that? Like, what was the scenario? And it's usually
Yeah.
like travel or you're sleeping someplace that you're unfamiliar with,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know maybe you like have been drinking or something. There's something that would affect your like REM sleep in general, but I have
Yeah.
yet to be able to intentionally
It's
set
true.
out.
It's scary as
You
fuck,
know,
but
yeah.
I kind of wanted to have it happen again.
Yeah,
Like, I
'cause
kind of wanted to experience again. So did you
Yep.
like actually, see the being or whatever it was that, stood next to your bed and
Dude.
scared the shit out of you, and
Yeah,
you didn't
yeah.
know what they wanted, and
the couple like super vivid ones was exactly. It's the classic, like you're in bed and there's like sort of people, or like, it's not people, but it's like some sort of
shapes. It's like a
shape
that
thing,
is a human
but
shape.
like kind of
Yeah.
like leaning over you, and,
Oh,
and you
God.
get that claustrophobic feeling, and you're trying
Yeah.
to shake yourself awake, and then you wake up and you're like, heart's going, and you're like,
Yeah.
that was fucking crazy. What the
Yeah,
heck? You know,
exactly.
my brain just did that on its own. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Really. Oh, it's
but yeah.
crazy.
I've never had that, but I did have like recurring vivid nightmares when I was a kid.
Oh, interesting.
And I do have like partially fond memories.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
it's not all bad because it's
Yeah.
such a such an insane and real feeling experience that I would kind of wait for the next one to come.
Yeah.
You know, once it would happen a few times in a row, I'd be like, all
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
let's
I
do
know
it.
you're kind of like, okay, let's do this again because I think I can handle it better.
Well,
Now I know what to do. You're like, I'm gonna take control of this one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Finished watching the Dream Warriors. I know what to do
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna fuck you up, Freddie.
Yeah.
I'll have to dig into this. I really like this.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that was great.
Completely.
And they have a discography here. There's more releases, so
Nice.
definitely there's
Oh, cool.
That artwork is so cool.
plenty.
Yeah, they have a ton of releases. All right, go check them out, people.
Yeah, it was great.
Nice. Should we spend some time?
Do you have
should
any
we
merch?
visit the merch table today?
Did you?
I mean, I got a couple.
I've got a big stack of records that I forgot to bring, but it doesn't matter because the most important merch I got is my new Skinner t-shirt. Skinner, fine artist for I did the Mastodon Once More Round the Sun album cover, and he's done work for High on Fire. He did the art for the Black Pot video, the animated video.
Yeah,
So
cool.
He drew this at some point, and you're not going to be able to see it all because of the green screen.
It's interesting seeing it kind of tripping out with the green screen. Oh, there you go. Oh,
But it's like
marijuana.
It's like a
will
marijuana
molest your mind. Is that what that's?
propaganda ad. Yeah,
Oh,
it's great.
that's sick. That's
Smuggled
great.
from Mexico.
Yeah, smuggled from
Somebody's
Mexico.
Ass.
Cool.
Oh yeah, it says smuggled from Mexico with an arrow pointing to an ass.
At first, I thought that was a nice set of testicles, but it is an ass. That's a very dimpled, hairy ass.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because he just drew that up and he posted it, and that post got a ton of shit from people who didn't realize it was satire.
Oh yeah.
They thought he was posting his anti-marijuana. It's like,
great.
Really?
how many layers of Skinner did you not understand?
That's great.
Dude's
That's
a
great.
fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been like buying merch or gear or anything?
I was gonna say I kind of forgot about this portion of the show.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I gotta tell you, man. Unlike a lot of people, like my band members and stuff, I got fucking screwed on unemployment. There was this chunk of like 4 months or so where I was getting $85 per week.
Oh.
And so needless to say, I didn't buy shit last year.
Things have been tight.
Yeah.
And I mean, since then I went back to an old job that I used to have. So I'm back at work, which is great in a way. But I haven't, no. And I feel like an idiot because I know we're also supposed to be like supporting each other right now, but I haven't. I will go on Spotify and listen for free to a bunch of new records and be like, wow, this band's really cool, and kind of like get into them and get into their catalog and stuff. But no, like a total nitwit, I haven't really paid it forward at all.
Well, hey, I'll say when we were listing, I was listing your credentials, your background before we brought you on here. I listed off all the things that you do, and I was like, all things that people can't do for the last year.
Dude, tell me about
Probably
it. Tell
one
me
of the
about
hardest hits.
Exactly. It's like, because I've worked at so many clubs in town for like Live Nation clubs, like Bowery clubs. Like there's so many, there's like this network. And then even like, I kind of thought, because I was out most of the summer with Deafheaven writing, and I was kind of like getting ready. Okay, in the fall, like I bet like bands will be ready to record and stuff. And like I kind of was hoping to get some recording sessions happening. And I definitely had a few. I recorded like a few bands, but not as many as I was hoping to. And then after another few months, I was like, man, this starving artist thing is not really for me.
That's not working.
So in the job I went back to, it's actually working for NPR, news radio, mixing news pieces and stuff, which is actually kind of fun. If it's like, you got like a 5-minute news piece and you mix in some ambient sounds and stuff, and you're putting the cuts together with a reporter, and you're sort of like building a storytelling scene. Like it's incredibly dry work, but it's cool work, I guess.
It's work.
It's work.
Right.
It's audio
You probably
engineering.
make more than $85
Exactly,
a week.
dude. I know. It was a crazy time. But
Yeah. For whatever reason, you're one of the things that gets algorithmicized into my feed pretty regularly. So I feel like I'm pretty caught up with what Chris is up to.
Yeah.
So the one thing I noticed is that you're surfing. So talk to me about surfing in Boston.
It's funny because you can actually even like I'm usually driving like 90 minutes south to Rhode Island or about an hour north to New Hampshire, but you can technically surf in Boston, like I mean in Lynn, which is like just outside of the city. But yeah, I've been like 16 times so far since January 1st this year.
Wow.
And it's definitely not always good, and sometimes it's bad in a way that it's just flat and there are no a wave. Sometimes it's bad in a way that it's just like way too aggressive and punchy because it's like there's a storm happening or something. But I've tried to get out. I mean, as much as possible. And needless to say, when I was unemployed, I went out in the fall, like literally like 40 times or something like that, which was so sick. But yeah, I just started surfing last summer when I was out riding with Deafheaven near Los Angeles, like Burbank area. Because Kerry, the guitarist, is like a full-time, that's like what he does. He surfs all the time. And one day I was just like, yeah, man, I'd love to try it. Well, okay. The first time I went was in Australia, and I was like, this is fucking crazy. I should not be out here right now. Like, I was like getting knocked off the board, and I was at the time a terrible swimmer, getting knocked off the board, getting like held under a little bit by the waves, and I'm like trying to, and then the board's getting farther away, and at one point like I got pushed under a little bit, and then there's just like rocks below, and I'm like, dude, I gotta get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah,
like, and I just like
the reefs.
So I almost don't even count that experience because it was just so like, but it was like we were there, we had the day off. Kerry was renting a surfboard. I'm like, I will absolutely try this, not really knowing what I was getting into and not really thinking about how bad of a swimmer I at least was at the time. But yeah, it's been awesome, man. And like, I was surprised because I honestly thought it was like kind of laughable to even think about surfing in New England. What even is that, And like in the summer, it kind of is because it flattens out a lot. But because like, I mean, Boston is tough because there's a bunch of harbor islands, so there just aren't any waves. You basically have to go out around those islands, which takes
they break up all the surf.
Totally. So like in Southie, it looks like a pond. Like there's nothing, But yeah, it's awesome, man, and it's a great. I mean, and then we went surfing at Ocean Beach, in San Francisco. And by that point,
dangerous beach
dude,
on the coast.
at that point, I had at least gotten my chops up because I was still only like I mean, I said it was like 7 weeks or so I spent in California this summer with the band, and by the end of it, we were up in Oakland, we did that live record and stuff like that. So we were like in the area, and I just happened to luck out. It was a couple not crazy days, but like even still, it's like. Because I mean, it's the same kind of thing where it's the Pacific. There's nothing breaking up those waves, so they're just coming all the way across. And by the time they get there, and Ocean Beach too, like I don't know if it's what's under the water or what, but like it's not like a uniform wave that comes. You'll be like paddling, and all of a sudden there's like one coming sideways, and you're like, what the fuck, like let alone or it's the kind of thing you get out past where they're breaking, and then you're like, how the hell am I going to get back in? These are like real waves. This is like some big shit, but in the winter, obviously it gets gnarly. It's like 20-25 foot. Well, you're talking about Mavericks too, which is like that's the ultimate. Yeah
it's like the big wave competition.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up going to the beach in Santa Cruz, and we'd like whatever boogie board or bodyboard, and all it took for me as a kid was to get slammed and pulled under a couple times to go like, I'm kind of for me. I'm on, and then it was like my dad used to dive for abalone, which is like super. It's legal,
but dangerous jobs in the world.
About the most dangerous pastime you can imagine.
Wow.
Because you have to free dive. You're not allowed to use scuba gear. That's like part of the rules.
Oh, interesting.
So that you can't take all the abalone, and then there are limits too.
I guess that's fair, but wow, it's crazy.
And then the abalone, the area where the abalone are, is just like shark infested. It's just like great white land. And I was like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
Fine. I don't even like to be on the ocean in a boat. If I can see the water, if I can see through the water, but man, it's like mud here. You can't see anything.
Yeah. So, it's funny too when you like when we were at Ocean Beach, there's seals out there, and they were like, so there was one guy just bobbing up there, like making eye contact with me, not like aggressively, just like checking you out, but like literally I would call it like 15 feet away, like so fucking close, and you're like, wow, man, this is really cool, like you're really like out here in nature. And then it's like, that's shark food, like a seal. You see the seal, probably don't hang out with the seal,
cool seals.
Like
it's nice to swim with the seals.
Exactly.
Like, oh wait,
like,
who else
wait
swims with
a
the seals?
second.
Somebody eats the seals. That's right.
Yeah.
Is there one less seal than there was 5 minutes ago?
I'll tell you one more real quick Ocean Beach story, which was the last time that I surfed at Ocean Beach. Carrie and I went there before we were hitting the studio. So we're staying in Oakland, recording in Oakland, waking up early, driving all the way to Ocean Beach, and then like surfing for 2 hours and just hightailing it all the way back. But anyway, so one of the last days we're in the studio, we go out there, park the car, wetsuits on, grab the boards. We like went out, and it was just kind of like a shitty day. We were probably out there for like 40 minutes or something. And he was like, you want to just like go grab coffee and like do something other than surfing, because we can't really surf right now. It's like, yeah, totally. Let's get out here, get out of the water, start walking down the beach. We're like, man, I'm pretty sure your car was like in this lot. And then we're kind of looking around. We're like, yeah, maybe like, no, dude, we definitely parked here. Went up and asked the tow truck driver guy, or like sort of parking lot maintenance guy, you see a black VW around here? He's like, no. And Carrie's car got stolen.
Whoa.
And we were left, dude. This is like, I mean, I feel bad because he got his car stolen. Obviously the insurance covered it, and it was all good in the end. He lost like a bunch, wetsuits and shit like that in the car. But what happened is basically we just got like the most raw deal I've ever seen, which is left stranded in San Francisco, barefoot with surfboards in wetsuits, no phones, no nothing. And we're just like, this is kind of funny. Like, this will be funny. And right now it's just so crazy. I can't even wrap my head around it. Yeah. But the shitty thing, and I almost had this beautiful Dunable in the car with me. Thank fucking Christ I didn't. But I had like a laptop with a hard drive that had like several weeks worth of like Deafheaven demos from the summer, and a bunch of my little scraps of solo songs and little solo ideas and stuff. And my cell phone that, like an idiot, I didn't back up, and had like, we had just gone on tour in Asia a few months before that. So like a year and a half of travel photos. And I was just like, it was one of those things. It's like, dude, I'm an engineer. I work with digital media. Why did I not back any of this shit up? You know what I mean? But what a raw deal. And then we went, so fortunately he has a friend that lives like pretty close to Ocean Beach. We go to her house. I go find my phone, or, like find my phone or whatever, the website. Obviously we called our phones. They shut our phones off immediately because they were like professional thieves. But my laptop, they hadn't found it yet. And the little dots showed up, and we're like, holy shit. Like, call the cops. We're like, okay, they're like at this street and this street. And you're calling a dispatcher. So they're kind of like, what? Okay, hang on. And we're like, oh, no. Now they're over here. And so they actually they dispatched a cop or two. And we're like talking to him in real time. I'm watching the dot move around on the map, and I could see the battery getting lower and lower on the laptop. Oh, no. And I was just like, dude. And then it finally disappeared, and we were like, that was so crazy. And then it reappeared because then it was charging. Like, they had found the laptop and they were charging it somehow. Like, and then eventually they figured it out and shut the thing off. But like, dude, what a bizarre morning. And then being like, oh, hey, that recording session that we're supposed to be at right now, like, can one of you guys come pick us up?
Yeah. we're gonna
maybe bring some clothes too. Yeah.
Bring some shoes.
Yeah.
Well, like
so wild. Yeah.
I mean, we live in a like Uber and Lyft world, which is fine if you have your phone, but Ocean Beach isn't like real convenient to anything in San Francisco.
No.
In San Francisco to get you somewhere else.
So far out there. Yeah. Man, that was it was quite a time, quite a tale. I was like, when it happened. And then his friend, our friend Sydney, she just let us borrow like her like sweatpants and like her boyfriend's like big t-shirt and stuff. And it was even funnier when George rolled up to pick us up, and he's like, oh, dude, what happened to you guys? Like,
good.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. He's like,
oh, that sucks.
Man, well, and shit, so crazy. But,
ask any touring musician to tell you stories about their car getting broken into or stolen in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Like, which one do you want to hear? I have about a dozen.
Yep. Yeah, when the cop came to take the report, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, like not even the slightest bit surprised."
Oh yeah, you can't park a car here.
Yeah. We're like, well, we did it for like 8 days and it was fine, but something, it sucked. That actually just reminded me real quick. I remember we were in Portland on a Chelsea Wolf tour, and we parked and went to Doug Fir just to get some food. Came back, van window smashed, bunch of Chelsea's like stage clothes, her like in-ear monitors, like it was this whole thing. But what happened is somebody called us and they were like, hey, I found your backpack. So like the dude or whoever rolled up, smashed the van, took a bunch of shit, and then was driving around, and I picture the person in the passenger seat being like, oh, this is nothing, pitching shit out. So we ended up recovering like 3 out of the 5 bags, which was so, again, one of these like watching it happen in real time. And And then we just drove around the area and we ended up finding a couple things. But it's like, and the same thing, the cops were like, oh, you can't park a van like in Portland. I was like, okay, now I know that. Like,
yeah, there's got to be like a Hard Times article or something, because I always laugh about.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought of this the night I saw Uada play at the Middle East, in the lower Middle East. Yeah, it was an Aaron Gray show.
Yeah, right.
And it was Imperial Triumphant, and they were fucking great. And then the third band, I can't remember what they were called, but they had a lot of costuming and a lectern, and
oh wow, yeah,
like the whole idea was to make the show
that.
look like a fascist rally. Yeah,
okay.
but they're very anti-fascist, whatever the band was. But anyways, I was like,
they were Antifa.
They were Antifa. Somebody report them to the police.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, they had so much shit they had to haul in that was not related to the music. It was costumes and stuff. It's like, what happens when you're like the thief who preys on musicians, who loves to break into band, and you grab the duffel sack and you throw it in your car and then you drive off and then you open it up and it's like a spiked gauntlet.
Yeah. You're like,
then, like,
what do I even do with this? Yeah.
Like a chest plate. And you're just like, God damn it. Why did I get the costumes? I can't even sell this.
Yeah. Well, that's what we thought. I mean, again, because like, Chelsea's stuff was like,
crazy.
Her friends had made her. It was like custom made clothing. You know what I mean? And a bunch of that did get recovered. But yeah, to your point, it's like, you think you're gonna hit the jackpot, and you start opening bags, and you're like, what the fuck even is this stuff? Like,
who are these weirdos?
Yeah, exactly. Broke into the wrong van. That's too funny though. Yeah, it took all your stage props. Like what?
Yeah, we'll call that Dunnable there behind you. Your merch table. That's a guitar, right?
It's it is.
On my screen. That's a little Cyclops.
It is, yeah. Should I grab it? It's
show it off.
Hang on. Yeah.
It's beautiful, like gold Dunnable Cyclops, maybe a tortoise pickguard, I'm gonna say. It's purty.
A little
It's funny. We have a disproportionate number of Dunnable players as guests so far on the podcast.
I could see that. It's
Dunnable and JML.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, this thing, I got a Cyclops. It's got a P90 in the bridge, or in the neck, sorry. And then I own this guitar for like 4 months until I noticed there is a coil tap. And
nice.
This is a single coil pickup, which is something I talked to Sasha about. But when we were sort of like talking about the design of the guitar and stuff, I was like, we don't have to go super fucking crazy. I don't want to put you out. Because I was going to do some mixing for like a project that he was doing in exchange for the guitar. And I just like sort of threw some ideas at him, that being one of them. But I was like, I'm not picky, whatever. And then like literally, like I was just playing with the tone knob, and it's like, yeah, exactly. I was like, man, because it's really easy to spin it. It almost spins kind of too easy. And I was like, I wonder if you could like, there's something you could put in there. And I was playing around with the knob, and it just popped up, and I was like, you have to be fucking kidding me right now. And then I wrote and recorded like a 1 minute long little surf song jam thing on it, and was like, holy shit. But cool mastery bridge does the thing, this guitar this thing rules. I love this guitar.
Yeah, it's really cool.
This guitar. I really do. Yeah. He makes a fine product. They make a fine product down there. And then of course, I think I can reach it.
You have your bass?
I got the bass. My baby. And it's got so much wear and tear. I've probably played like 200 Deafheaven shows with it. And clearly I don't know how to hit the strings. I just kind of hit the whole thing like that.
Is it edge bound?
What does that mean?
When you flip the bottom up, it looked like it had white binding on it. Maybe that was just light.
There's just binding on the neck.
On the neck.
But the body, it might have been the way the light caught it.
It's
pretty much
the pick guard.
It's the edge of the pick guard.
Gotcha. Oh yeah.
There we
that
go.
makes sense.
Yeah.
This was like, I was like, man, I don't have a P bass, and I love everything that you make. If you want to make just a cool P bass thing, man, yeah, I've played this thing. And when I brought it down to him, I was showing him, I don't know if it's like what I eat or what, but the shit just gets all rusty. Like I clean it, and I have an acidic sweat or something. But he was like, whoa, yeah, we got to get you a fresh one. And I was like, but this is like my favorite instrument. I don't need another one. You know what I mean? But,
just make it not rust.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, that's your problem. block inlays. I fucking love this thing.
Yeah, because
this
in
is such a cool guitar.
Summoner you play jazz, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, nice, good call, good eye, good memory.
Bass players notice bass
players know these things.
Notice bass players.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Sasha and everything they do down there. It's crazy, and it's like everything is worth every penny. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
When I first brought that bass to actually my friend who used to work in the custom shop at First Act. So he was like
the First Act custom shop.
Yeah, well, so like
but they have great guitars. That 9 string is a First Act.
That's what I was gonna
right?
say. So Pike's got that 9 string. Brian Cook from Russian Circles plays the Delgado. Like their custom shit was like really fucking nice. But anyways, I brought that Dunable to him, and that was like the kind of the first time he put his hands on a Dunable, and he was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I see." You know, because like a lot of people just come up with a cool design and kind of just slap a guitar together and they're selling them for $2,000 or whatever, and you're like, eh. But he was like, I don't know. It was nice. It was nice for him to confirm that it's a very fine instrument.
My experience. I mean, I had one for a little while. I had a Yeti with an EGC neck.
Oh yeah.
It was mostly to kind of like check out the EGC neck, and ended up selling it nothing more than I didn't like playing the aluminum neck.
Interesting. Yeah.
But you're getting the quality of like a $5,000 custom Fender Gibson custom label,
like literally,
instrument,
for
half the price.
Yeah, and it's made by like a really cool, genuine kind of guy, which is awesome. I mean, can't say enough good things about it. But
still waiting for him to come on here and be a guest. He's being difficult with dates. So.
Oh, okay. I'll put the bug in his ear. I was gonna actually ask him.
It's okay. No, he's a good guy, and I mean, he just launched that DE line. I mean, he like actually did the work and found a plant in Korea that could make up to his standards. So now there's sub $1,000 Dunables in the world. Yeah.
Exactly, and I had no idea. I mean, we're friends, but we're not like super close. I had no idea he was doing that. So like everybody else, as soon as that dropped, I was like, that is.
Whoa.
Like I never would have thought. I didn't even think that was on the table. You know what I mean? It's like for a small builder like that to have a production line made overseas sub $1,000, and they look crazy. Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, they look and sound great. And now he's in like Guitar Center, and I mean he's like,
really?
Yeah.
Wow,
cool. Like not nationwide, but I mean, he's doing some stuff.
Yeah,
good job, Sasha.
Great.
I
know exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I love all the side hustles. We end up talking to people like you who you don't do one thing. You know, it's like if you want to live life in music and make underground music, you're probably going to have more than one job.
Couple hats.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and in Sasha's case, it was probably like, I like guitars. No one makes a guitar that fits me exactly right. So I guess I'll just make one for myself.
Right.
Because he was like fully sponsored by, I think for everything. He's a Mesa Boogie guy, and I think they have guitar sponsorships.
I'm sure with
guitars.
Intronaut,
with Intronaut.
Yeah, it's funny too because he made a couple of like his first ones that he made were for Carrie and then Shiv from Deafheaven. And like when I was because I did sound for them before I was in the band, so I met them in like 2014, and that was the first time I'd seen the Dunable, and I was just like, "Whoa, man, this is really cool! Like, what even is this? Like original body design and stuff." And then, needless to say, when I got in the band, I was like, "Hey, man, long time no see. Like, you want to build a bass?"
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I've always wondered if his name is Shiv or Sheev.
Right, yeah, Shiv. Shiv Merrill.
Yeah. And you definitely don't get to play a jazz in Deafheaven, unfortunately. I think is
they were like
how it works.
It's funny. I brought the Tobacco Sunburst jazz out for the first big tour that I did for the first tour with Ordinary Corrupt, and I was like. Because there's a piano song. It's kind of like 70s proggy thing. And I was just like, I'm like forcing this. This isn't, like, and then I pick up the Dunable and I'm like, this is just right. It just is. Yeah. And I played that thing. So most of Ordinary is on, Jack Shirley has a really nice like 77p bass. Like, why are you not going to play that? But all the live stuff and the most recent recordings we've done are all like that thing. The Dunable with like my dark glass preamp. So it's like very much the exact thing that it sounds like live, which is cool,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I guess I should try out one of those dark glass preamps. I just have never been in a band where I needed to get that sound.
yeah, so it's funny
it's-
that sound, because they like say they make 12 pedals. I know that's more than that. Like 11 of them pretty much sound like the same fucking thing.
Yeah, have
But
that
the
sound.
the vintage Ultra, which is what I use, is more of like, I just always call it a really nice Sans amp, but it doesn't really sound like a Sans amp. It's just like you can do like a little bit of drive and then a bunch of cool EQ options and stuff. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. We don't have to get
No.
It's a bit. It's a bit.
Yeah.
We do. I could talk about pedals for hours.
Yeah.
I sang in bands. I've
Gotcha.
never played an instrument, so like when Jeff and Guess go off on all
Yep.
their like gear talk,
I saw me
I'm
on.
just kind of like,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did buy an Alpha Omega pedal.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And ran it into the workstation, and I was like, okay, that's what that sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it sounds good. I just don't have a use for it. I felt like I needed a more like clean, tight, modern metal crunch for something, but I just don't.
Yeah. Say, I mean, because again, I've tried a couple, the Alpha being one of them, and some of their other stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't. There's a reason all their demos online are dudes with like 5-string fan fret basses playing gent, going it's like it does the hell out of that. But yeah, that if you are just looking at their stuff for some reason, the vintage Ultra is awesome. It's like SVT voiced. It's way more mid-rangey way not clackety clack. But
that would work better.
Yeah.
I tried one of those fan fret. I tried out one of the Dingwall ABZ5.
What was your take on that?
It sounded great. I didn't have any trouble adapting to playing a fan fret bass.
Interesting.
I just could not get over how it looked.
It's crazy. Like, yeah, it's like
teeny tiny headstock, like this big bass. It's like fucking 38 inches scale. On the B,
like
and then the headstock's like this big. It's like a little Ibanez Soundgear headstock.
Right.
That's dumb.
Right.
That looks dumb.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This isn't for me. Yeah, it's interesting though.
If anyone thinks I'm playing an Ibanez Soundgear, I'm horrified. This is not. I don't even want it to be mistaken for one.
Yeah, that headstock is unique. It's distinct,
Yeah. They have a different line. They have like a Super P and a Super J that are P and J base shaped with with better headstock, but they're shorter scale. So it's like if I want the benefits of being tuned down and having a 37.5-inch low B. I don't want it. I'm not going to play a shorter scale instrument. Like
it doesn't make sense.
Give me the full scale on the Super P and the Super J, then maybe I'll go for it. But right, JD?
I was just going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Also, the fan fret is a little less extreme on the shorter scale. So for people who are freaked out by the shape of it, it's a little bit more straightforward.
I'm a big fan of frets.
You like fan frets?
No, I just love frets.
Fret fan.
I'm a huge fret fan.
It makes sense, man, especially as we get into this crazy multi-scale world where people are playing instruments with 8 and 9 strings. You just can't set it. At some point, you just can't set them up in a reasonable way unless the frets are fanned. Unless the frets are fanned.
I'll be honest with you. I never even really considered the tuning aspect of it. I just thought it was like a sort of an economy of motion sort of thing, where if it's static versus it being a little more ergonomical or something. I'm such an idiot. It's interesting.
It's what it does is it perfectly balances string volume and makes intonation better because intonation is a relative to string length, and so when you're playing a regular instrument, everything is always a compromise except for one string. One string is the right length, and the rest of them are a little too short or a little too long, and so you have the bridge saddles that you can use. This is so we're going.
Yeah, we're
deep.
getting into it, man.
We're getting into it.
Yeah. But this is great.
There's going to be a lot of people right now that are like, oh yeah, this is about to get good. Or
30 seconds.
Skip 30 seconds. Skip 30 seconds. Skip 30 seconds.
Yeah. So I mean, this just does the job of those bridge saddles, but up and down the whole neck. So like for setups, it's a dream, and for I mean, do you ever play fives?
I've never owned one. I've played them if a friend has them or at a store or something, but no, I've never really spent much time.
So one of the real tricks is that the low B typically is going to be lower volume, just because of the way the intonation works and everything works together. It's really hard to get the B to be the same volume as the rest of the strings.
Interesting.
And so I've played fives my whole life. As a player, you get used to it. Like then your attack changes. How hard you play
you just
the
kind
string,
of play a little harder.
Adjust.
Yeah, sure.
But man, the first time I played that thing, I was like, oh my god. And then like, if you've ever used an electronic tuner, and we're down a half step, so I'm playing in B flat, like a really thick cable.
Yeah,
and the tuner can't even find the note.
Yeah,
no matter what you do, it's like, ugh, I think that's it. You're in the ballpark, buddy.
Yeah.
but with that Dingwall and that long scale, it was like boom, right on. Like it can perfectly find the note because it's intonated properly. So
that's really cool. I honestly, literally had no idea. I thought it was just so you could like shred faster or something. I don't know.
You can't do that too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's better for the shred.
Yeah.
I can't
the
imagine.
More you know.
I can imagine. So, like, to back up for anyone listening, if you've seen lately people playing guitars where the fret lines aren't parallel to each other, where they kind of like get wider on one end and skinnier on the other, and they look kind of freaky, that's what we're talking about. It's fan fret instruments. And as you get more into people playing these like 7, 8, and 9 string instruments, you'll see more and more of them, because it's impossible with the same scale length to get that really tiny guitar string and that really low bass string to sound right.
Yeah, the further you get apart. It's interesting. I'll be honest with you, I learned a lot. I had no idea.
So like I would use one in, like, if you're trying to get a particular especially a clean sound, like a particular type of clean sound in the studio, I don't think you could probably do better than to play one of those, because it'll just, everything will be balanced and clean.
Just so balanced. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but they look dorky. They look dorky. Look up
it's
the
a distinct
headstock.
Yeah, that's a distinct look. Yeah. Yeah, cool.
That's funny. Should we listen to a couple more songs?
Yeah, do you have a few more minutes to listen to a little bit more?
I'm down. Yeah, that's
You're
cool.
good? Okay.
Cool. Let's do a couple more songs. I got a couple more. So
I did get merch. I'll show it off. We bought the new old, after talking to Santos, we bought the 2 Old Man Gloom records that they released.
Oh yeah.
In 2020.
yeah,
Gotcha.
new
I got copies of those in. What else did I get? A reissue of Pallbearer, the first record.
I went down a little bit of a like Euro.
Oh yeah,
Euro indie rabbit hole in the past few weeks, and so I don't need to share. I guess I could
just show one. What do you got?
Yeah.
Come on.
So I
like records.
This is a band that I fell in love with back like in the late 90s, early 2000s. Placebo.
Oh yeah,
So
cool.
Placebo. This is the
Nice.
You can see
That's our ring light
for
everyone.
Everybody.
It's working.
Without You, I'm Nothing, and then their second album, which was Black Market Music.
Oh yeah,
I love these guys. I mean,
Cool.
It's just, it's sort of that weird, depressing yet
Yeah.
upbeat Euro kind of poppy indie, sort of gothy.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that.
My like interest needles like
Your
oh,
interest needles.
gothy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about heavy? They're heavy,
heavy?
like an indie pop band, you know?
Yeah. I might pull the pop moniker. I don't think there is. I think maybe pop-ish, just because they have sort of some pop writing sensibilities, and they were played on Top 40 radio.
Is it electronic? Is it?
No.
Is it mixed?
No.
It's live.
It's like rock. It's live music. Nothing complex or anything about it. It's just listenable.
Explain why I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's not complex.
It's not
Jeff.
complex,
You
Jeff.
wouldn't listen to.
It is. I'm pretty sure everything is just a straight 4-beat. Like
Yeah. That the hit, the single or whatever they had forever ago, I don't think would be out of place played right after like a hum song or something. I always kind of put them in that sort of thing to bring it back to the heavy.
So now we're back.
Yeah.
Every You, Every Me was that was like their
Yeah.
hit. That's the one I was telling you about. It was on that Ryan Phillippe movie.
Gotcha.
What was it called? I can't remember. With Jennifer.
No, with he married Reese Witherspoon
Reese
after they were
Witherspoon.
in it together.
Yeah, they were in it together. Yeah.
I never saw
You
it.
and Every Me. Yeah. That was a horrible version of that song. But,
Wait, you were a singer?
yeah.
Yeah, we bought that new Hum. We both bought that
new Hum was good.
record. I mean, Hum was. I listened to so picture me, 16. I just started playing bass when I was like 14 and a half. My buddy left me his guitar for the summer. He went to Europe, so I had a little guitar and a little amp, and I had like I had Gish. I don't think the Hum record was out yet. I had the first Danzig record, and I was like, I want to learn how to play guitar because I want to make this like fuzzy wall of sound music.
Yeah.
And I learned how to play the entire Danzig record, which tells you something about the guitar parts. as a bass player.
Yeah.
But I had this vision of this sound and this kind of music in my head, and then I heard Stars, the hit Hum song, and I was like, oh shit, they got to it before me.
Yeah.
Oh well,
that was what I was gonna do.
Yeah. Like, no, there's that. Yeah.
I just didn't know 6 other guitar players. It was funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of like crazy setups and bands that would have a hard time doing a club show. I saw the live engineer for the guitar player for My Bloody Valentine posted a picture of the rig that they use.
Yeah.
And it is no joke. I don't know how they route everything.
Yeah.
But it includes 6 amps and
Holy shit.
close to 60 pedals, and almost all of them are fuzz pedals.
Oh my
Which,
god.
if you listen to My Bloody Valentine, it's like, oh, of course.
Yeah, yeah. But like,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah. Imagine just figuring that out, much less like wiring it and then tweaking it. Like you hit one knob on one of the pedals and everything goes fucking haywire.
Wow.
But imagine them in like at the Caravan. Imagine them at a dive bar that holds 80 people and doesn't have a stage, and then it's just like like a dozen amps.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry man, that's just what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Turn the drums up. Nah, we can't.
We can't.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard a bunch of people say My Bloody Valentine was the loudest show they ever went to.
They
let's do this.
All right, so who are we listening to?
The band is called Lament Cityscape. Lament Cityscape.
God, I was just listening to a podcast where somebody, like, every other word they said, they were accenting like the wrong syllable, and then the other host was correcting them. It was comedian Paul F. Tompkins and his wife have like everybody in entertainment started a podcast in the last year.
Yeah.
And like every other word she was saying the wrong, like accenting the wrong syllable, and it was driving him fucking nuts. And then he kept correcting her, and then at some point I think it became a bit. She never admitted like I'm doing this on purpose, but she just kept fucking with him for like an hour, just saying everything slightly wrong.
I did that with my wife. Well, you don't. I was Sadie. I mispronounced this person. We used to go to Starbucks every morning, and the lady that worked there, I purposefully mispronounced her name every single time we went there for like 2 years, and I never told her. And then finally, because she would always correct me, and then finally I'm like, babe, I've been joking for like 2 years.
This is deliberate.
I know her name, and I know how to say it. Like, she's like, you asshole.
You are officially guilty of gaslighting your wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Way to admit it, at least.
Lament Cityscape. Let's do this. I think this is what gets me is I want to know Buffalo, Wyoming.
Yeah. All of this intrigues me.
Yes.
The Old Wet is the name of the record.
And look at the name of the other records that they have.
And they don't say anything about themselves, which I love.
I love it. You don't know what to expect.
So you have this little corner up. I'll pull up the Summoner page and see. Like, what do you write on that corner? Some people write a big paragraph describing every influence they've ever had. In this case, they just listed the band members. That's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
With the Old Wet,
I wonder
the
what we have
Pulsing
on there.
Wet, the New Wet. Oh, we're gonna look in a minute. You're gonna check real quick first. Edit the page.
Yeah.
They've got a lot
Holy
of
shit.
albums. Like maybe there is nothing to do in Buffalo, Wyoming, except record music apparently.
Wow.
Well,
been doing this 2004?
Look at all that.
I'm gonna say recorded and mixed by Mike McClatchy at Underland Studio in Oakland, California.
Oh, so they came out to Oakland.
Interesting.
This. Oh, and Pittsburgh, New Torn Recordings in Pittsburgh.
What studio did Deafheaven record in Oakland? Just out of curiosity.
So we did. I always screw this up. I believe it's 25th Street.
Okay.
But OCHL is at 25th Street. New Bermuda is at 25th Street. And then the stuff we did recently, like the live record and stuff, is at Jack Shirley's new spot. So Jack Shirley's done all the records. He used to have a spot in East Palo Alto, which was like great for mixing, pretty small little live room, but that was like his spot that he lived there and he did all those records. That's where like all of the Deafheaven catalog up until New Bermuda was there. And then now he's kind of built this dream studio, like $1 million facility in Oakland, in West O, I think. And it's like, it's crazy. I can't, Jesse Nichols is the other engineer, who's another, like his catalog is bananas. And actually just saw Lars Fredrickson was just there because I started following him on Instagram the other day. But anyway, so their studio is like one massive live room and then two completely separate control rooms. And Jack's got his side and Jesse's got his side. And they can both
each have it
tap
wired
into it. Yeah, it's
that's
sick.
cool.
It's sick. And Jack lives upstairs.
Any isolation rooms?
There are a couple small ISOs, yeah. Yes, but not like, yeah. Because he's kind of got like a big amp isolation chamber room kind of thing where we'll put a bunch of cabs and stuff. But like we just tracked that live record completely live with the amps in the room and everything, and no headphones. It was fun as hell.
That sounds good. Yeah.
So Atomic Garden East is the new spot. But yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. We had Alex Petralia on from a band called Nopes.
And
Jack has recorded all of their stuff too.
Right,
and,
gotcha.
Lots of anyone who's worked with them has a lot of good stuff to say with them, and I'm gonna have a record or two to record somewhere in the Bay pretty soon here. So
that's awesome. We'll
have to maybe try out some new people.
Cool. Yeah, he's the man.
Yep. Let's do this.
Lament Cityscape. Among the Dead, is that the song?
Among the Dead is the song.
LamentCityscape.bandcamp.com. Make sure my volume is listenable. Here we go. I like that.
That's pretty cool.
It's ugly and noisy.
Yeah. I really like that. That's super cool.
Mastered by Zach Weeks at God City Recording Studio in Salem, Massachusetts.
yeah, down there.
I like that. Yeah,
that was great.
Interesting. There's like this industrial sort of vibe to it, but also sort of like post metal.
Yeah,
it's almost like a mix of post metal and industrial.
Yeah, it's like like an evolved Nine Inch Nails. I was curious to hear what the vocals would sound like.
Yeah, pretty cool. Super. Zach mastering it actually makes sense. It's definitely. I was like, this is super blown out in a cool, fun way, and I couldn't. A part of that's probably recording and mixing as well, but it's definitely got that full on like that just makes it that much more like oppressive sounding, you know. Yeah, that was cool.
It was like
really good.
Everything had like a max distortion on
just
it.
right
Even the
here.
vocals.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, like, so this song is 4 minutes and 42 seconds long. We're almost 2 minutes in. Do you think it like dials back the intensity ever at some point, or is it just like, is it at that level until the end?
Oh, I like the speculation. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it hangs out, but
I think it hangs out. I mean, so we're already halfway through almost.
Yeah, we're 2 minutes in. Let's do a little bit more.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Turn the volume up.
That's a good idea.
There. But it's still like,
Yeah.
so in a manner.
And those are all programmed drums.
No, I
Yeah.
think those
You
are
think
live.
there's-
I
you
think
think
it
there's
said,
live drums in
I
there?
said live drum track.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's just production.
Oh wow.
I think it's probably heavily layered with samples if that is the case. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Just like how even the snare sounded in particular. But that's cool. It's awesome. If it is purely live, that's really good and well processed.
Wow.
After the
Yeah,
fact.
it
But
just says live drums, additional percussion, and additional vocals recorded by somebody, but that doesn't mean it's all live drums. It's all live
Yeah.
drums.
That's I really like this. I'm gonna definitely dig into this
cool.
giant catalog that they
I
have
know.
apparently.
And even though
$33 for the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Sick.
Yeah, even though they sort of pulled back on some of the elements, that the drones that were the like really oppressive cloud cover on the whole thing stayed.
Yeah.
Even when everything else kind of quieted down, it was still over the top, and then that high guitar.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to figure out too. It sounded like I think at least live bass in there on top of that, pretty high in the mix, and maybe that was layered with synth stuff too. But yeah, the meat is very much there. It's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what all instrumentation is on that track. I feel like I should know these names, like Mike McClatchy, David Small, Shannon McCullough.
I know they all
But
have names that sound like people.
Someone
like names
someone's
that we
listening going,
recognize.
they're all from fucking Slayer, you
Yeah,
dipshit.
Yeah.
No, I don't think, maybe not Slayer, but
Yeah.
No, I completely. Yeah.
all right, is there one more?
Yeah, we got one last song.
Last song.
Right.
One last song. This is it.
All right,
This is
you
it.
better be good, because this has been
a good episode.
a pretty impressive
Yeah,
lineup.
So it's Monji. I don't even know.
It's not Pupil Slicer?
No, it's not Pupil Slicer.
Ah, fuck, I wanted it to be
I
Pupil
mean, it
Slicer.
could be, you know.
All right, I feel like we're going to get into some well-worn territory
Are
here.
we gonna get into some well-worn? Okay.
Yeah.
So Monji from Argentina.
We are Argentina's biggest stoner rock band.
Is that what it says?
No, I'm
Oh.
just Druga Dimenzija. The drug dimension is the name.
Oh, is that what it means?
I assume.
The drug.
And we're
And-
going right through the portal, right? It's just on the other
Yeah.
side.
We got skeletons on the portal. We got that like
So is this gonna be some new wave heavy metal, or is this going to be like some doom?
I just hear Beastmaker.
That's yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
I mean, the art looks like Bronca Studios.
It totally
looks like
does.
one of
Does.
Trevor's favorites. I don't know. We'll see. Could be
All
wrong.
right. So the song "Kneel Before Her."
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna be some like stony doom.
All right.
They want it. That's what they want us to think. I
Is that
think
what-
if you're.
Oh, it does say
Yeah.
doom, doesn't it?
Oh, I didn't even read.
Oh, okay. Don't read.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay.
Kneel before her. Some Doom.
Yeah, that's some stoner Doom.
Yeah, the drums are at least like slightly unorthodox.
A little bit, yeah.
I like when they went to the double time thing there. It was kind of cool.
Yeah,
okay.
I was surprised by that actually.
Mm.
It was like double time. No, you go halftime. This is where you go slower, not faster.
I thought I heard. I noticed that. I was like, did things just speed up a little bit? Like
he just added it.
I liked that. Like, yeah, it was unexpected.
Yeah, push that part of the song along a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is all Buenos Aires, Argentina, but the lead vocalist is James Wright, and then the rest of the people in the band. I'm always curious when bands from South America sing
James Wright
sing in English. Yeah. And so I wonder if James is an expat down there going like, I'm going to expose you all to this American phenomenon called Doom.
Yeah.
Like that's like I've seen this album cover before, right?
Have you?
I don't know.
Oh, you probably.
It
I see what you're saying.
It feels like I have.
Yeah.
Isn't that the new Big Scenic Nowhere record? I'm pretty sure there's an eyeball and a similar.
Yeah. I mean, that's very possible. I know Argentina has a big, there's a lot of American companies that have offices in Argentina, especially call centers. And so it's very possible that, there's this American guy that moved down there and found some musicians to make some stoner doom with him.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely had a fully realized, the first record came out in 2018, like a fully realized aesthetic here.
Oh yeah.
It's like
aesthetic is cool.
3 records deep now.
They've got good branding.
Where's your merch? Where's your merch, guys? I want to buy a T-shirt or a record.
When you have good branding, you need merch.
Oh, they don't want to ship. They don't want to ship from Argentina.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's like, here's our T-shirt. Now give us $25 for shipping.
That's cool though. And I was I wasn't disappointed by the vocals.
No.
I'm always I'm always
waiting.
So worried. And I'm always waiting and just worried that I'm going to be disappointed by the vocals.
If the guy comes on, he's like,
right. Wait a second. Yeah. It's like, I mean, especially obviously with any genre of music, but I feel like with doom, stonery, whatever, you're waiting because it's like these vocals are really your playbook is kind of limited musically, so it's like whatever the vocals are going to do are definitely going to kind of make or break it in a way in terms of you're keeping your attention span going.
With kind of the typical scales and chord progressions and riffs that are common in doom.
Yes,
that's all going to sound sort of the same until someone sings or until there's a synthesizer.
Well,
or until
almost
there's,
always
some other element.
Stoner and doom, you don't get independent vocalists. It's always a guitarist.
Not
or a
this
bass
band.
player. Oh, they actually have a singer.
James Wright is vocals / lead vocals.
Look at that business.
No other jobs.
We see that?
What are you talking about? I'm in a band that has a singer that only sings.
Well, I know. I'm just saying that you don't get that a lot in the genre, and when you do, it usually it's different.
Yeah.
And I think because when you have to be a guitar player or a bass player and sing, it limits what you can do. Yeah. So you're trying to sing in between what you're doing with your instrument, where a singer just gets to create something that goes over the top and intertwines and gets to be more creative in the vocals, which then makes the music better.
Can roll. Well, not necessarily better, but different.
It's not the expected.
You can roll around on stage. See, you can't roll around on stage and play bass and sing Summoner songs unless you wear a headset.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have rolled around on stage, but not while singing. So you got to kind of do those. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Why not wear a headset?
I know, right?
Because it's corny.
Hey,
just like your little stock head. Stock head? What's it? The stock head?
Headstock. Live music is going to be different after this time away. So maybe something like, we always used to call it the Britney Spears mic. I realize it's called a headset mic.
Yep.
Hey, Dale Crover has been using a headset mic. And
Cody from Big Business.
Yes.
Yep. And what his name's escaping me, but the drummer from Boris too. But granted, he's just going and making crazy noises.
Well, and he's setting the stage. This is gonna be ridiculous. Just FYI. And so the headset's just one of many things to look at.
That's a good point. Yeah. All drummers though, so nobody down front has gotten a free pass yet. So
that
is a tough look though, man.
It is a tough look. Could you get like a good lav mic that no one would even notice?
Yeah,
It just
right.
Sort of hangs out down there. You're not going to get the good quality.
It's
All right.
just gonna be.
So
I had to look real quick. My friend's band, this band Bagwal, they're from Chile, and they've been ordering the T-shirt is what made me think of it. This dude has been trying to send me their CDs and T-shirts. He lives in Santiago, and something about U.S. Customs just will not let it through, and I feel so bad. So we kind of just gave up. But they're an awesome. They opened for Deafheaven when I was down there doing sound for them, and then. Well, I guess he just came out.
We go the
but,
extra
yeah.
mile.
Oh God, Jesus!
Oh.
that wasn't supposed to be a
Jesus.
video.
Oh, time to wrap it up.
Dude.
No, I don't know. Anyways,
Just played you
But-
off.
The playoff music.
yeah.
You get a playoff Hertz commercial.
But yeah, something about, you try to do the right thing, try to support some bands down there, and you just
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
No, I
Yeah.
gotta.
Completely.
I have to do this since we've been talking about it. I have to do the Lord's work here for the people listening along, so that you can see the beauty of the Dingwall headstock.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's I was just emailing this. So this is Nathan. He used to work for Source Audio, which is they make some really bizarre pedals, and
They do. I have some.
That Nemesis delay is like the greatest digital delay I've ever used in my life. But this dude used to work there, and then he was playing bass and sort of was just too busy, so he quit last year. It was just funny because it's like you see somebody's face and you're like, oh, I was just emailing that guy like 2 hours.
And this guy Nathan Navarro.
Yeah, Nate, exactly. So he played with Devin Townsend last year. Oh well, not last year. Every time I say last year, it's just implied that it was the year before because nothing happened last year.
2019.
Yeah. It's just funny that he popped up with that. That makes sense.
Well-
He's like a
well,
bass
and
god. He's unreal.
Well, and
But-
like one of their first signature artist, I think that they made like a full series of basses from is Adam Nolly, who's the bass player for fucking
Korn?
Periphery or Animals as
Periphery.
leaders? I was like, well, one of
Periphery.
those two bands.
Yeah, the
Oh.
Misha Mansour's band, Periphery.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're definitely that's the wheelhouse they're playing
Yeah.
in with these instruments.
100%.
Man,
And it's like-
that neon lime green.
It's
Look
like
at that
they're
little headstock, though. Yeah.
but the headstock is so dumb. Come on, guys.
and the body is so big with all those knobs and everything. Look at the bridge too. That's right. I forgot they make the bridges all crazy like that.
Yeah, it's in
Wow.
each bridge piece is an individual piece.
Crazy.
All right, so here's the Super J. So people listening along, just Google search.
You can do your 30-second
Dingwall.
skips, or you can go watch on YouTube later.
See, you can
Look at that. Holy
right.
crap.
So you can actually have. I mean, he
Oh.
did kind of a stylized J headstock.
Yeah.
so that's fine.
Interesting.
So shopping for
Yeah,
bases,
yeah.
but definitely
Yeah,
more appealing than the other stuff. Those crazy things. But yeah, these are shorter
Yeah.
scale.
Wow.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like a weird soap bar, J soap bar pickup mutant in the middle somewhere kind of thing. It's interesting.
They probably make a version that has three. Oh, there you go. You can
Yeah.
get three. You can get three of
Look
those
at that.
soap bars.
Wow.
They're probably. Those are probably. I think he uses a lot of the Norstrand pickups.
Mm.
So
That thing
Yeah.
is so from like another dimension that I can't even like really see into over. Like I wouldn't even know what to do with that thing. I bet they're super fun to play, and you can probably have have all those tone options right there and stuff. But
yeah, it was surprisingly easy. I thought to get used to the fan frets.
Mm.
It actually feels kind of natural. I would feel bad for guitar players playing them because I don't play a lot of chords.
I was gonna say trying to
But-
play a chord like that is like
The lifetime of you having your finger position ready for straight, and then all of a sudden the frets are kind of angled, and
gotta
you have to hold them in
hold
like
them weird.
multiple fingers in
That would
different.
be weird.
yeah.
It's like playing chords on a fretless,
Yeah.
which is danger level 10.
Sounds daunting, yeah.
for bass playing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I always get excited. Every once in a while, we'll hit a submission and I'll go fretless.
Fretless.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Not
This
enough,
is true.
not enough fretless bass in heavy
Yeah.
music. You sneak
Yeah.
that into Deafheaven.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Little fret.
Yeah. Exactly.
You
Just
get one
that.
of those. Just
Yeah.
get one of those in. Like,
Just one.
they won't notice. Just do it at
Yeah. Yeah.
one spot. Oh,
That's hilarious. Speaking of, I mean, you guys released a 10-year retrospective in December, right?
Yep. So, and what that was supposed to be is we were doing that tour of that. So we learned a bunch, or relearned, or I learned for the first time, like a bunch of old material stuff,
The
like
early
stuff
stuff, yeah.
from the demo, stuff from the first record. We learned Vertigo, which is such a good long, like kind of impossibly long technical song to play live, because like the drums, he does some fucking awesome out there shit on there, and it was just one of those like, this is too crazy to pull off live. But for this 10-year anniversary thing, learned how to play it. It's on that record. But yeah, so it's gonna be like a long, like 6+ week tour, with a couple nights in each city at smaller venues and playing slightly different set lists. Like, so much work went into this thing. And then we were going to do this live record almost like halfway through in Chicago with the Audio Tree people, just a proper with, you know, an audience there, like a real live record. And that would have been really sick. But this was like kind of the next best thing. And it's all live. There's no like punch-ins or touch-ups or anything, which is cool. And you can hear there's a couple spots where like, oh, yep, that's where the guitar solo should have started. Or like I do like maybe one little micro. That was a fill, a little bit of jazz. But yeah.
It's fine.
So yeah. But yeah, that sort of retrospective thing is cool. And it was almost supposed to be kind of like, I mean, they're all B-sides, I guess, but some more B-sidey kind of stuff, like stuff that didn't like that song Vertigo, like I'm saying, just stuff that hasn't really been touched in a while or played live ever even, you know. So and I think we're still going to do something, you know, some sort of like that kind of thing. But I think 2023 will be 10 years of Sunbather, so that's going to be something. So I don't know what the rest of this year is going to look like, if anything. Honestly.
Anything.
We're talking next spring, the next concrete US like full thing that we're talking about. So you know.
I feel like anything that happens for the rest of this year is going to be kind of ad hoc, thrown together quick once everyone like really understands the temperature around them. And
exactly.
I mean, the first booking requests I had were for September. You know, like from bookers looking to book tours, and even that Trevor just told me that the Haunt tour, they're actually playing a festival in September now. So he's going to move that tour to the following year.
How bizarre is this too? By the way, that the script has been flipped, and the U.S. is actually doing better than Europe at anything ever. Like our vaccination rollout is like, it's actually looking pretty good. I thought it would be the opposite. I thought
it is now.
Oh, there will be I know exactly. Something must have changed there along the way.
I don't know. It's weird. It's super.
How did our response to the pandemic change suddenly?
Scholars will spend years untangling that one.
Yeah. But I mean, because I thought for sure there'd be some European summer festivals and stuff this year, but absolutely not. That's all off the table. I think like they're looking at stuff like in November over there.
Yeah. Gotta go to Australia and New Zealand.
That was the talk, but I think even if you get your vaccination, well, they haven't really. This is the next step, but as of right now, we would still have to quarantine because we had
for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, we had show offers down there, but it's like that.
Can you pay us to quarantine?
Yeah, exactly. Like the flights
for 2 weeks.
Like that. Those tours usually almost you break even anyways, even with like a band at our level or whatever, because it's the flights for expensive. 5 people and hotels and blah blah blah. But I don't know, taking it as it comes, touch and go, you know. But the record came out good. I was happy with the record.
That's awesome. So it wasn't. That was not the way you intended to release it. You were going to record it live on that tour
on that tour.
Release it. Okay,
exactly. Yep. And I forget. It might have been Talia Hall, which is like a pretty cool venue in Chicago. Yeah, it would have been great, but
that's
whatever.
I think that's like a Warfield Fox Theater, like 2,000, 2,000 to 3,000.
It's a little bit small. It's more like on the 1,500 side. Okay. But a similar vibe. Like there's a balcony and stuff.
Old.
Pretty cool.
I've seen pictures of that theater. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Well, you just hold out, and then you do the next one at Red Rocks.
Yeah, hell yeah!
I've just been
having a Red Rocks.
I've just been watching the Opeth live at Red Rocks on for the last month or so.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So kind of wrapping things up a little bit. Our final question. You grew up in the Boston area, in the woods of Boston,
in a musically rich place.
Who was like your all-time favorite hometown band of like any era, you know, when you were a teenager or whatever? Like, who is that band that you're just like?
It's funny because
the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Whoa, wow! I mean, at that point in my life, I wasn't gonna go there. I mean, then they do this hometown throwdown week
Oh,
of shows every year. No,
I'll use
no.
I'll use Santos's joke because you have a checkered past.
Oh, woo! That yeah, I'm gonna stick that one in my pocket. That'll come
I have to attribute that one. I definitely did not make it up.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because I definitely sort of missed them the first time around, and I'm probably biased at this point because they're all my friends. But Cave In, honestly, like, like the first time I heard Jupiter, I was just like, okay, this is like a record. Like this is incredible. And they've just continued to consistently put out music. But there's kind of like chapters there. There's sort of like a break or like at least a slower period for a few years. But again, like that's weird because like I never saw them at the time. I've seen them a million times since that came out, or they moved to LA in like the mid 2000s or something, and ultimately that crushed the band, like what happens to a lot of bands. But man, they're, I mean, again, I would say converge, but they're an incredible band. But I'm not totally into that style of music. But they have some incredible albums, and acts like the last one, it's a tough call, but I still feel I feel like I gotta say Cave In. Just they're just fantastic band.
I've already admitted to like they should have been my favorite band at the time when they were making new music, and I just they somehow just passed me by, and I had no idea.
Sure.
So are we talking early Cave In, or are we talking later Cave In?
Well, right, I would say that kind of the middle catalog is kind of cool. Like again, like Jupiter really did it. It's like that's the stuff that I got into, and then I heard like Beyond Hypothermia or like Until Your Heart Stops, and I was like, oh, they were like a convergy band. Like I actually didn't really know that at the time. And then kind of the stuff since then has been kind of continuing in that sort of like more space. I don't want to say like space rock, but like the guitar work and the sort of more like bigger sound.
And the thing that I find funny about that is, there was the early stuff that did sound sort of convergy. And then Steven left and came to Cave In, and they sounded less convergy somehow.
Isn't that weird? It's so funny. And again, I mean, back to your point of so of the 20 musicians that we have in town, they're in those bands.
Nice. That's awesome.
I wish I had like a more underground answer for that, but no, I'm sticking with that for sure.
There's great bands in Boston, past and present. I will plug, because one of the recording sessions that you managed to get in was tracking Worshippers. Thin Lizzy, I mean Deep Purple tune for the tribute record, and it's killer, man. It's so good.
Thanks, man.
Did you do the first one that they did for the Thin Lizzy record?
Johnny,
you did that one too.
We did Johnny the Fox, and then we did a Pink Floyd one. They did One of My Turns, which was really cool.
They did that for the Magnetic
that was
Eye,
on Magnetic Eye though.
The Wall Redux.
Exactly. But that band, man, they're that's a really good band.
They're great.
The drummer is now in Summoner, but we just haven't done anything. But he played. So he played on our cover. With, that was a Magnetic Eye thing too. But they did one of those Sabbath records, and then we were on like the best of kind of thing. He's only been on one Summoner recording so far. But
that's right. You guys did my favorite Black Sabbath song of all time, which a National Acrobat.
Thank you. I was like, dude, I was trying to come up with the name. It's like, exactly.
My favorite song of all time, whose name I cannot remember.
That's fine. I'm old. I can't remember shit.
It's funny because both of those songs, it was like, I'm going to record this in a kind of atypical way for me, which is like kind of a minimal drum mic setup, like not really any room mics, just try to get like close, dry drum tones. And I think it worked pretty well on both of them. Because usually you make shit sound big and slamming and echoey and all that Bonham kind of vibe, and this was sort of like the opposite of that,
Yeah, we did the same for Deep Purple, because it was like you go back and listen to those records, and it's that like tight, close 70s drum vibe. They're like the non-Bonham. So he padded a bunch of his heads, and there's no room mics or anything, and so it's a little jarring at first when I heard it, because
Yeah.
it's not what I was used to hearing when like you just hear the drum playback, but
Yeah.
then when everything gets mixed together, it's like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds good. I like that. I mean, live recordings are my favorite thing. I'll listen to a live record over a studio record any day of the week.
Interesting.
And that's very much a studio record drum sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not,
It's funny. There's something about live records, especially when it's like a board mix, where I'm like, I don't even care how much I love this band. It's just so like, it's like asymmetrical. Like there's no room mics or anything on the crowd at all, or they do the Kiss thing where they just like pump that in over a studio recording. But there's something about those board recordings where it's like the guitars are kind of quiet because they're loud in the room. It's like a bunch of dry vocal. And like, even if I love, I'm a snob like that, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But, you know,
I'm with you. Live recordings are not my favorite.
But when they're done well, and you can feel the ambience of everything, and you're like in the show, that's a different story.
No, the bar is set for me at the record that got me into music, really, which was Exit Stage Left. And
so,
okay.
Okay.
Most of my favorite Rush recordings are live recordings, and luckily for them, those three octopuses could pull off most of the studio trickery on their own.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Yeah. And they're a band. Yeah. So that makes sense because that's like a produced quality live recording, not like a board recording,
not bootlegs.
Yeah,
like real live, like real good live records. I
gotcha.
Absolutely love. Well, because of the way so many bands record, it's hard to recreate the performance aspect. That's why I'm actually stoked to hear that what you guys did was in the room with not even with headphones, like recording a band practice, because that's when you like really get into it.
Yeah, it was great. Like I think George was like the only one with headphones on. He was like in the booth doing vocals, and we just kind of smashed through everything. It was cool.
It's the reason why we almost didn't record our Deep Purple song, is because our guitar player is so adamant about that performance aspect of recording.
Sure.
He at first didn't even want to attempt a layered recording.
He's
just like, how are we going to get the performance? And I'm like, I don't know. But if we don't try, then we won't find out.
Right, exactly.
We will not be on this record.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's so funny too, because I was, as a recording engineer, I'm always like, we have to do this live. We have to do this live. It's like, who's only done a handful of live recordings like ever is Kurt Ballou at God City.
Really?
You record the drums, and then you record the bass, and then you record the guitars, and then you record the vocals, and that's just how he makes a record. So the like live feeling and stuff is like kind of artificial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is weird but you can't hear it. You can't. There's no. I don't know if it would sound any different. You know what I mean? Like. But
as a bass player, at least, it was weird to go in and, because typically we'll do live takes isolated, and so most of the performance will be the live take, but then you go in and I've done some layered recordings, but I didn't have any trouble. I thought it was fine, and frankly, what I think matters is the drum performance. So if you can
100%.
create an environment where the drummer can get a good performance out of it, because that's the take that dictates everything. Like and I don't know if drummers you worked with are like this, but our drummer, like, you try, do a bunch of takes, and then he slams a take, and he drops his sticks, gets up off of the throne, and walks away. And we're like, okay, is that?
I think that was the take. Yeah,
that's the one.
I love that. I love that. Like, well, he's done. Okay.
Yeah. It's like we don't talk about it.
It's not getting any better than that.
Nope.
He's that was it.
That's so funny. I will say, at least in my experience, that's definitely been how Deafheaven's done stuff. It's especially with those longer songs, like a bunch of blast beats and shit. Like when we hit all the transitions, it's like, that's as good as I can do it. I gave you 3 takes, like then that took 2 hours. So, that's funny. Yeah.
I feel guilty. I feel guilty being the only the bass player in a recording session, because it's it's the easiest of all the jobs. It's the one track. Okay, no problem. I can do that.
Kind of knock it out, and you're like, well, so, I guess that's lunch. I don't know.
It took me 2.5 times. Yeah. Anybody need a burrito?
Yeah, exactly.
Finish my take and then go get food for everyone.
Yeah,
that's the role. You probably do double duty a lot, playing and engineering at the same time. That's got to be an interesting thing to do. How do you do working with other engineers and producers?
Well, it's funny too because I couldn't tell if part of it was like an East Coast West Coast vibe thing, but Jack Shirley and I definitely at various points have kind of butted up
heads.
against each other, and he's
Yeah.
been like, dude, like, yeah, actually, yeah, when we're on the last thing, it was kind of funny. He was just like, can you stop being sarcastic for 2 seconds and da da da, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm just like this, man, like I don't know. Usually it's pretty easygoing, but to be honest, he's like the only engineer that I've had record anything that I'm playing on in like 15 years or something.
That wasn't
like that,
you.
you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
I'm used to just like hitting space bar and then like playing bass or something, you know.
You've never recorded with Kurt for anything?
I haven't, unfortunately, no, because even with like Doomriders, like I've been in the band since like 2014 and we've played a handful of shows. We haven't done any recordings, so nope. Not yet.
You guys haven't put. God, has it been that long?
There's
Since the last
one
time you put something out.
The one record, I mean, yeah, because if I joined in 2015, and they put out that third album in 2014. Because then I joined Deafheaven like a year and a half after that. But yeah, and that third record is awesome. Like I did a couple tours doing sound for them at that point. It's so good. It was just like one of those things, and Nate's doing 15 bands, and you know, can't put the effort into all of them. So you know, or find the time to put the effort in, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we interviewed, one of the earlier episodes was the drummer for a band called Arm for Apocalypse. And when we interviewed him, he was up in the apartment. They were at God City.
No shit. Yeah.
Finishing up the record, and he was up, like we did the interview from the
That's
apartment
cool.
above the studio.
Nice,
and he was like, he had just finished tracking all the drums, so he was done. And he just like had so many stories about, he was so stoked to record with Kurt and got like all this really cool advice, and it made me like, oh, I'd love to do that someday.
He's like, I feel like Kurt made me a better drummer in a week.
Yeah,
like, you know,
that's interesting. See, that's the kind of thing. It's like I've freelanced over there. I've done some work for Kurt, but I've never worked with Kurt. And like I have so many questions that I would be like, hey man, like how do you get a better performance out of people sometimes? You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing where like, because I've heard horror stories from 10 years ago where he would be like, well, if that's the best you think you can play it, and then you're like, Jesus Christ,
oh god,
all right, like cut you in half, cut you right down.
I don't know if I would be. I think I would just set my bass down and walk out and just like never ever come back.
And he'd be like, "That's fine. I'm just gonna play the part when you walk." Or no, I don't know. But yeah, if that's the best you think you can do that, I was like, "Is that a quote?" And my friend was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" Yeah. Oh but he's a family man now. I think he's a little softer.
He's softened a little bit.
Yeah. That kind of, because that shit just sounds intimidating. I'm like, well,
I do want to try it sometime though. I've never recorded with somebody who was like really pushy about the performances. It's always been people who like the performance is your problem and them capturing it the way they hear it is their problem.
That's kind of my role. Yeah. I mean,
but
I'll try to help people, but like correcting or producing essentially. Yeah.
He said, what was one of the things he said? He said, you seem like you're really pushing, you're really pushing this. Like, just try playing it, 4 beats per minute faster. And they're like, well, that's not what we practiced at. And he's like, I don't care. He said, just try it, try it there.
Yeah.
And he played it, and he's like, oh my God, it felt like it was harder for me to play that 4 BPM slower. And so I was like tenser and playing shittier. And so the song just got a little faster in the, in the studio.
So does that mean Kurt is a producer?
Yeah.
Because wasn't it Andy that's like, I'm not a producer, I'm
Andy's
an engineer.
Andy's an engineer.
I'm an engineer, I'm not a producer.
Yeah. It's funny, like as you kind of, the years go by, you really concretely kind of are like, nah. And actually Jack Shirley, who previously was kind of Deafheaven's engineer / producer, like when we were working with him last time, he's like, yeah, I've been kind of thinking about it, and like I don't really think of myself as a producer, like, and then that's when you can really kind of like go down the rabbit hole of defining what that is. Like, is a producer someone that goes, hey man, if you play like a single coil guitar on this part, it would probably sound kind of cool, and like we'll try to use this amp? Or is a producer the guy that's like, you should play that chord like this, or this part should be longer, or I like think it's somewhere in the middle.
If it's related to the sound of your gear and like helping you get that right, I think that's still in the realm of
that's engineering.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
If they're rewriting your parts or suggesting different changes or fucking with the lyrics or like I think about that era, 70s and 80s rock era, where there were these legendary producers.
Yeah.
And you hear these bands, but what you're actually hearing is the vision of one or two or three different producers who are just like using the bands as a conduit to
and
to
they have
get
this
out.
sort of overall vision of what the record is going to be or whatever. It's interesting. It is.
I feel like that doesn't really happen in rock music, at least. I feel like there are engineers and producers that you go to because you know they're going to get you to a certain place. Like I feel like if you have a drum sound in mind, especially for heavy music, if you go to Kurt, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it, and then get it maybe even like bigger and louder than you ever pictured.
Because
you're
like, holy shit.
He's like developed a particular skill in tracking drums, I think, that you can't get elsewhere. But he's not like rewriting your songs for you.
Right. No, it's like quality control at the most. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's
was that Mutt Lange or whatever, the guy who did all the 80s, like all the hair bands in LA, like Bon Jovi, and like he was making major changes.
Interesting.
Well, that's also that thing where like those guys most of the time would go into the studio with no material, so recording a record was what we consider to be like all the stuff that you do in practice, and then the stuff, because we're poor, that you do when you go into the studio. Like most underground bands, their goal is to spend as much time as they can and as little time as they have to in the studio, because every hour costs you money.
And back then, so they wrote the album in the studio.
They wrote the album in the studio. I can imagine having the time and the money and the ability to be able to just. Crazy. It'd be great. I'd love.
Sounds awesome.
Give it a shot. I'd love to give it a shot, but no, man, we're like the sharpest knife we ever are is the day before we walk into the studio. Because you just want to like hit everything, and there's not very much room for production there. It's like no, we have 2 days. We're not rewriting the song. It's understand. This is the song.
Exactly.
Just record it, please.
No one touches thing is going in exact. It is funny when it's. Parts of it are unavoidable. I mean, they are avoidable, but you still, a lot of that, like, wait a second, is that what you're playing there? Like, I always thought, oh, okay, and then that's when it's like, okay, well, we're on the clock now. You guys should have figured this out sooner. But that's like worst case scenario. But stuff like that will kind of come up, or even just strumming patterns and shit you can't hear in the space, But
but like Billy, I always consider a producer because. He's a great engineer, but then when you get your mixes back from him, there's always new stuff that he's added in the mix that was never there. To the point where most people that work with him, if they're in a small live touring band, they have to go back to him and get like samples of all the stuff.
So
that you can figure out how to incorporate it.
Interesting.
Back into. So
no shit. Wow.
I ended up doing a bunch of that. It's like he added all this crazy cool stuff, especially when there's like a long passage that's we have a lot of long, weird, like kind of trippy passages, and he just did all kinds of stuff. And so I snagged samples and loaded them onto a looper onto a pedal.
Yeah, great.
And just run it into the house, and then I can trigger it.
Cool.
Billy's here, fifth member of the band.
Yeah. It's funny once you start having that conversation of like, all right, well, we only have this many band members and there's kind of this many sounds now. How are we gonna, divvy up some double duty stuff or something like that? The sampler pedal is a good call. Yeah,
we don't divvy that up. We just give that to me. Carl plays guitar.
Hit play.
Carl's pedal board has 2 passive pedals, has a wah-wah and a rotovibe. So there's no effects to worry about other than those 2 things. Eric plays drums. Troy can, barely remember his lyrics.
Wales.
He remembers his lyrics if we're lucky. And then it's like anything else.
You got all of it.
In addition to that, I got to do it.
Again, the bass player role.
I have a little synthesizer with a foot controller. I've got a pedal board loaded with samples.
Nice.
I have the most pedals of anyone in the band, just to try and fill that space.
I'm sure your wife's shift is probably over at this point, right?
We talked all
night. Gonna go get her.
That's about it.
But no, I'm really glad that we were able to get it sorted out and get you on and record.
This has been great. Thank
you
for joining us.
Yeah,
you're out here. You're out here. Bug us sometime when you're out in the Bay Area.
Absolutely.
Go have
hit Ocean Beach.
Hit Ocean Beach.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I've got some bad memories to cover up at Ocean Beach.
Yeah.
Drive over to Mavericks. Tell you where not to park your car in San Francisco.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. We can go hang out in Soma on 6th,
Yeah, exactly.
Find some old needles.
Exactly. trip down memory. There is that what is it? It doesn't matter, but there's a great burrito spot right on the corner of Market and 6th Street, which is like kind of run in to grab it. It's a Cancun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a Cancun right next to one of the dives that we play at in San Francisco too. And Market and 6 is not far from Cellarmaker, which is a killer.
It's really close, actually.
It's a killer brewery in San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
One of the few, like, right in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Interesting. There's that Mikeler bar over there too now.
There is, yeah.
Depending on how bougie you want to get.
Seriously, if you want to go somewhere where every cliche about nerd beer culture is actually the truth,
like live,
fucking go into that, into that bar. It's like,
it's like the cliche nerd beer culture and the finance bro culture meet in one bar. Like,
we have so many gross stories from that place. And they mostly involve like dudes with like sweaters with the 3 buttons and the kind of the collar that turns and like a goofy hat, like pronouncing Scandinavian beer names properly to random women that they walk up to
and swirling and
sniffing. I don't think this is the right glass. And you're like, look, you're in this place. It's the fucking right. They keep your beer at 3.
It's the right glass.
They have 3 different temperatures in their draft system for different kinds of beer. Like it's the right glass.
Wow.
Exactly.
No, I have a love-hate relationship with that place.
It's great though. I mean, they have great beer.
They have great beer,
they have
but
great guest beers, But
I hate
going there
going
is a
there.
laugh. It's always a laugh.
Yeah,
for sure. Cellarmaker is that's
a little more chill.
That's good. I'll remember that. Cool. Yeah, this is great.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You have anything else you want to plug or promote or?
I think we're just at that point. I don't know what.
Everybody
I don't know
go
what's
buy
going
the
on
10-year retrospective album.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah.
Will do.
Say that because, like I said, we had a blast doing that, and it's very much a completely live record. So I wish I could say, "Hey, come see us at this date at this place." And,
exactly.
Go pick up a Summoner record, even though you'll never see them live unless you happen to be in the right place in Boston at the right.
Correct. Yeah.
Or in Vegas. Hey, we saw you in Vegas, so that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
But
and Doomriders may never put out another album or tour again, but you're still a band?
Yeah, we're a band, baby.
There you go.
Something's gonna happen. Something will
happen.
I love it. What a strong send off. There we go. There it is.
Just go find him on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
all right. Well,
cool.
thanks, Chris.
Okay. Of course.
Have
Thanks for having me.
Killer rest of your day.
Yes.
Will
thank you
do.
so much.
All right.
You guys too.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Attempt to put you in the waiting
Easy.
room. And I probably won't do it right. There we go. All right. What a guy.
You can also just remove him from the call entirely.
I could do that too.
Yeah.
Well,
that way he's not hanging out in the waiting room thinking you're waiting for him to come back.
I just can't see. I can't see.
No.
This is like, I can't put my arms down.
It's good time. See? Remove.
Remove. You have been removed. You die now.
Who do you want to report?
I don't want to report anyone.
You're not reporting him. You're removing him.
All right. So that's Chris Johnson. He's likely, if you listen to this show, he has engineered something or recorded something that you've listened to.
100% for sure.
And it's just an all-around good dude.
Yeah.
Talked to him in person a few times, and just such a nice, humble, smart,
super nice guy.
Smart guy. Killer bass player.
In 3 amazing bands.
Yeah, and in Summoner, like Deafheaven, he's a band member for sure, right? He's playing, he's writing his own parts, I'm sure, but that's a band where the bass isn't intentionally isn't the thing that stands out. But Summoner is a much more, proggy. He loves Rush. He loves it. If you like Pallbearer or bands like that, you'll like Summoner a lot.
Yeah, completely.
And he's a really great bass player, and he sings, and is a busy dude in that band.
All around
Renaissance man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anything else you got to plug?
You know what there was, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh,
of course.
Let's live check on air YouTube subscribers.
There was we
were right on the edge.
Yeah, we have not forgotten. We have a contest. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel, because as soon as we get 100 followers, I'm going to give away that live King Buffalo record. We're at 97.
97. Come on.
97.
Push us to 100.
Go subscribe.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Tell someone to subscribe.
And somebody is going to win that live King Buffalo record.
Yeah.
It's live at Freak Valley, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed on whatever podcast platform you use. Tell a friend.
Write a review.
Write a review on Apple.
A good review.
Write a sexy story.
Yeah.
Maybe like ship us and a guest, and then write some creepy fan porn or something. I'm down. I don't care.
That'd be sweet.
Sounds fun. And don't, as Skinner would say, don't smoke the marijuana.
Don't smoke the marijuana.
Because you will inject it into your needles and go straight to Satan, and it's probably butt smuggled. So,
ooh, gross.
Yeah, that all sounds terrible.
That's gross. I feel like our show would be probably better if you did smoke the marijuana.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably be better if I had before I was started. Did not early morning today.
Yeah.
Fortunately, maybe a little carryover from last night. A little bit.
A little carryover. Why not?
So,
never hurts.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has
been great. And to the person or band or whoever I said I was going to mention for something, I can't remember.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
This is the most podcast moment of this.
I'll try to remember.
Podcast.
I know, right?
About corn.
There was something.
Fieldy.
Yeah, Fieldy.
Corn.
I love that guy. So good. Talk about good bass players.
It's a man with dreams is what he is.
I tell you
what.
I tell you
what. All right, Hank Hill. All right, everybody. Well, this has been another episode of Blynd Submyshynz.
Thanks for joining us for another week of Blynd Submyshynz. See episode description for links to all artists discussed in this episode, and visit their sites to support them directly by buying music and merch. Share links to the podcast or YouTube videos with your friends, especially if they're in bands. Bands, if you want us to listen to your music on a future episode, please submit one song to blyndsub@gmail.com. That is blyndsub, BLYNDSUB @gmail.com. Bandcamp links preferred, but not required. Find us on social media at Blynd Submyshynz. Full video episodes are available on our YouTube. Remember, we go in blind, so you don't have to. Blynd Submyshynz.